Con.
And hello.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. What?
Oh, we'll never get a Hearthstone steal.
Oh no, and I'm the only one who plays it.
No sponsors.
No
That's
sponsors,
okay.
whatever.
Hey, you know what I like? Betting.
Sports betting.
Yeah.
Well, more about that in
More about that later on, maybe. Probably not.
No.
Anyway. So, thank you everybody for tuning in this
Chances
week.
story.
Yeah, we are back for episode 43 of Dicecream Sandwich.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, we've got some cool new toys that Amanda is playing with at the moment. Yeah, if nobody else has noticed, we finally have a bunch of pieces actually built for scenery and stuff.
Yeah.
3D printer is doing its job.
It is. It's taken a while.
The 3D printer's taking their turn.
It's
doing
taking.
a
I'd
job.
take that job. I couldn't create plastic out of thin air.
I feel like I could make things, but it would
there you go.
not be a thing that I spend a lot of time doing.
So cool.
Yeah, so it's working out pretty well, and I'm doing a bunch of printing. Each of the pieces takes like 5 hours, so super fun. But yeah, so we've got that happening, which is super great. Definitely gonna start making a bunch of stuff to start giving away.
Jordan, does that make noise when you print?
It makes
Pretty silent.
It's pretty silent. The one thing I will say is it makes like the 80s. How you imagine printers would sound.
No.
It actually makes those noises as it's
That's
printing.
kind of wonderful.
So it's
Yeah, it sounds
kind of
cute.
neat. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. I've definitely spent like 20 minutes of just watching it print in like layer by layer in 0.08 millimeter thick layers. Like that's how
Do you get
narrow
like the
these
same
things are.
can if you're looking at like something baked in an oven?
You do not. 'Cause there's next to no heat that comes off of it. But yeah, it's been super fun. I finally figured out a bunch of the quirks and issues with it, and I'm basically printing non-stop now. So yeah, I'm excited to get a whole bunch of stuff on the way.
So
And
push
also,
the fuck
thanks
out
to
here.
all the new follows on
Yeah.
the Twitch account.
Huge thanks.
You
to
are
everyone who
awesome.
follows.
I
Yeah.
went into a few Twitter threads over the weekend. A lot of like, comment down below and let's follow each other
Oh, sweet.
threads. And
Supportive community.
we
What's
got
up?
like 20 new follows out of it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks, guys.
We're actually for the
We're
first
$1.99.
time, we're $1.99, but also for the first time since we started streaming, we've had a follower goal of reaching 100 followers in a 30-day mark, and we're at 84.
Oh!
Actually, so close to
How many
hitting
days
100
do we have
followers.
left?
Yeah, how many do you have left?
It rolls over day by day, so it might. But
sweet.
things were a little bit slow, and then we've grabbed like 50 followers in the last week and a half, so we might actually.
So
get
you're
that
saying
mark.
there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance.
Patreon.
Oh, you can Patreon my on.
Also, you gotta shout out
Oh
to
yeah,
the
also
guy
like
that.
super random today. So I was just so everybody else is aware. I told Amanda and Kevin this. I was up in Edgemont Village, which is in North Vancouver here in Greater Vancouver, and I ended up going to this like super old bookstore that's been there since I was like 5 years old. It's
You
called
have my attention.
Kids books.
Kids books.
Kids books. Yeah.
So make
And
the
it's-
explanation shorter.
Yes. Yes.
Super short explanation, but yeah, I ended up going into this place and bought a couple of things. Guy came over and asked me if I needed any help. I said no thanks, and we chatted for a little bit. He's like, your voice sounds really familiar. You do like a podcast or something?
Aw.
And he recognized my voice. And yeah, his name's Cam. And hi Cam.
Hey,
Thanks for-
Cam!
Like
for
from
being a
watching
fan.
this?
He watches
Yeah.
our YouTube and he watches the stream.
Oh, so like
He like subscribes to our YouTube. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
we love you, Cam.
Yeah, apparently he's
quite
like
frankly.
heard a bunch of our stuff and he like recognized my voice, which is kind of neat.
Cameron, I live in North Van. Let's chill sometime.
I'll
Alrighty.
find you.
Just as the
You
guy
will.
that
Oh,
the
can
snack.
I do a little self?
No,
oh.
not actually.
Yeah, of
Can
course.
I do a self promo moment?
Mhm.
So I'm doing my first like proper potentially multi-week drag competition starting Thursday.
Shit.
Drag Derby. It's a new one from the folks that do Man Up. Please come support me and support whatever I do on whatever.
If you live in Vancouver.
Support whatever I do.
Please, you don't have to understand it. You just have to support it.
You have to fly over from wherever you're living currently.
like I don't know, wherever you are in the world, please support
Just fly
me.
in.
Just fly into Vancouver. It's really cheap.
I'm
Yeah,
not
Really
sure.
cheap.
Go to my Ko-fi account, buy me a coffee.
Kevin and Amanda have a couch.
But yeah, basically,
It's actually where we all
I'm
live.
really excited but really
I-
nervous.
We have a
that-
Smurf village in Kevin and Amanda's couch, by the way.
What?
Oh, it's like it's like where we all live. We have a Smurf village in Kevin and
Oh
Amanda's
yeah,
couch.
no. Everyone lives here. We're a communal
No.
community.
Not gonna.
We're a communal
But,
community, yes.
Yeah, it's basically please support me on my journey of
And
doing drag stuff.
when when does that? When's
We support
the first
you.
show?
The first show is this Thursday, and it's going to be weekly from Thursdays, starting from 8 p.m. They are going to be eliminating folks each round. So who
Where
knows?
is it?
The clubhouse, which is just off
Main
of
Street.
First and Main.
I know.
It is
First
a
and Main.
wonderful venue, and
Nostalgia.
sadly, these folks are going to be losing the venue at the end of the year.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So
That's a-
you know,
Fucking Vancouver.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
yeah,
No
it's
fun
just
stuff,
a
man.
temporary.
Oh, that's annoying.
But it's going to be really wonderful. There's so many really cool performers, like actually genuinely people that I'm super stoked to see what they're going to bring.
Nice.
And then there's going to be me doing a little wiggle.
Wiggle, wiggle.
Oh yeah.
Wiggle, wiggle.
That wiggle's worth
Getting
seeing.
that
Wiggle
wiggle
and
on.
sweat. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah,
Yeet.
totally.
Wiggle and sweat.
Okay, I think that's the end of me kind of trying
That
to
is the
promote
end
myself.
of me.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
the end of me.
Yeah, does anybody have anything else? You said there's a Dragon Prince.
There's a
sign
show
this
coming
week.
out.
Yeah.
Dragon Prince Season 3 drops Friday.
Oh,
It's-
it's Friday.
Woo!
It's early Friday.
Dang.
There's a lot of stuff in this season
Little show
that I
called
am
Dragon Prince.
really excited for people to see. It's in the trailer, but a lot of people misattributed it to Callum. But there's a line in the trailer that is from one of my favorite scenes I've ever gotten to be a part of.
Yes.
It's real emotional. It's going to be really sweet. Check it out. Netflix, all 3 seasons streaming November 22nd.
Yes, if you haven't checked out season 1 and 2
If
yet.
you live in the Greater Vancouver area,
Mhm.
or surrounding in the burbs, I guess.
Travel.
Yeah, I guess we don't want burb people. But, you know.
Oh.
No,
We don't hate
we're-
you because you're bridge and tunnel.
I don't care for bridges or tunnels, so.
They get in the way.
Not automatically.
I'm a fan
That's
of
true.
both.
That's
Yes.
true.
Okay.
I
But,
can't
like,
just
Fair enough.
The statistics don't work in their
If
favor.
you live in Vancouver, Big Pete's this weekend, the comic book shop in North Vancouver,
Legendary.
legendary, Large Peters.
They just
Um,
moved. Fun fact.
They did just
Oh,
move.
They
really?
did, yeah.
I guess
Uh,
they conserve how they kicked them out.
yeah.
That's lame.
If
Nice.
so, if you live in Vancouver, there's going to be a cast meet and greet and signing at Big Pete's on Sunday.
Probably some awesome people in cosplay like there was last time.
Probably, yeah. I hope so because I
so
love seeing
cool.
that. I don't know if I'm going to be there yet. I'm still trying to make up my mind, but
Other people will.
What a
showing up
cheese.
for sure are Raquel Belmonte, who plays Claudia, Paula Burrows, who plays Rayla, Sasha Rogen, who plays Ezra, Omari Newton, who is fucking incredible. He's Corvus, and Cole Howard, who plays Crowmaster, who's also the voice of Spider-Man.
Oh, shit.
Very nice, very
He
nice.
read one of those
Which Spider-Man?
fanfics.
He did read
right?
one of
Yeah.
my fan
Shit, he
fictions.
was good.
He was great. He's a sweetheart.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All
So
right, awesome.
check it out.
Definitely worth checking out. All right. I
Now,
think,
Jordy, is
Yeah.
it time for D&D?
I think it is.
fucking go.
Well, we'll see you guys in London.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't come.
Oh.
So like
We are
Matt Groening
back.
didn't fuck anybody. He just had real gross toes.
Oh.
And the interview is about this woman just describing Matt Groening's feet, just being like they were the most disgusting things I've ever seen.
Wow.
He had like yellow curly nails.
Oh, no. At least
Let
you
me
didn't.
And
eat some
we're
of these peanut butter pretzels.
Yeah.
Let's let that set the tone for tonight's
Yeah.
Tune
session.
into the page for
Creator
more,
of The Simpsons, Matt
more
Groening.
foot-related shit.
Down with
Gross
Strahd,
ass
aka the patriarchy, at this point.
Yes!
Does somebody see my
Hashtag
mouse?
Strahd didn't
Toxic
kill himself.
masculinity.
Yeah.
Perfect. Alrighty, so
Literal patriarch.
on that topic, diving into tonight's episode, we catch up with the party in
Yeah.
the village of Berez, essentially in the swamp. They had made their way north from Argon Bostolt, briefly stopping in at Valaki. The shortest, actually, experience they've ever had. Basically talked to no one in the village.
There's a real in and out.
Yeah, real in and out.
Super cool.
Hi-oh.
Popped out of the village, headed south towards the village of Berez, where they were curious as to what was going on, not really knowing much about the village except for the fact that it's on their map and it's next to a river.
Yeah, we kind of waltzed right into that one.
Yeah. Made their way down through a rather high perception wall. They managed to spot a series of standing stones and a light flashing amongst them. Some quick thinking from the doctor, sending Rick over in invisible form, and having a conversation with a woman who was on the other side, a member of the Keepers of the Feather. You ended up gathering some rather interesting information, making your way to the other side of the river, finding out about the apparent hag-like human entity that lived in the swampland named Baba Lisaga. Eventually realizing this is something that you should probably deal with. You made your way back across over the river, beelined it straight to her hut, killed the bitch.
Beelined it straight to
Fucking killed the bitch!
Yeah.
Did a murder.
With what I will say is quite possibly my favorite moment in all of combat that we've done so far of Les in the skull, stabbing the bitch as she gets into the skull, almost dying, grabbing her, body rolling her out of the thing, and killing her when she's on the ground. Quite possibly one of my favorite moments, and almost dying 3 times in the process.
It felt
Yes.
really good.
Yeah, it was
felt really good.
very, very well done.
What
So
else
you've
feels
seen
good?
it, the highlight of the stream, guys. Don't.
All
All
downhill
you
from
need to
here.
watch is
So,
last
favorite-
episode.
Walk into Strahd, stab him in the heart, campaign open.
Like and subscribe. Check
My
out our
favorite part was
Patreon.
my only attack action where I fired 3 arrows and they all missed.
It
It was great.
Yeah, that was fair.
I
was true
appreciated
fact.
appearing in a hut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
that was
yeah,
fun.
we
Yeah.
did a lot of. It was. I
But
did some.
making your way out, finally dispatching her, you did notice as well that she managed to summon, essentially animating her hut and turning it into this giant, creeping
Yeah.
spider-like entity, throwing roots 50 feet out in all directions as it begins walking and attacking you. But ripping the brightly shining green gem from within the structure, which immediately dulled the gem, losing its magical essence and affecting the creature, but still maintaining it. The creature froze in place, and you now have free reign over Babali Saga's hut, about 20 feet off the ground at the moment, held up by this creature. So, we pick things up with the group having opened a chest, found a nice loot cache, distributing things accordingly. Just so I can know as well who all ended up with the items. Don't worry about the potions, but
I know, yeah. I'm trying to see if we have the
pipes
things.
of haunting.
I got those.
Okay, doctor's got those. Who has the oil of sharpness?
I do.
You do. The gauntlet of the rose. Hope's got that one. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Is it like it's like an extra big gauntlet? I'm just picturing like the Infinity Gauntlet.
It is a gauntlet that replaces a piece of armor. It is a magical gauntlet, so it adjusts to the size of the wearer. Yeah.
Oh.
As you
It was a
attune
little
to
bit.
it, yeah. As you attune to it, it's like Tony Stark's Infinity Gauntlet, where it up to the size of the Hulk.
Spoilers!
For
Oh,
characters,
yeah.
maybe a little
It's been
bit
9 months.
Trying to watch the bread.
asymmetrical armor. That's so cool.
But yeah, so you are attuned to that. Well, actually, sorry. So we come back with you having found all these items. I'm assuming you use the book to identify all of them.
Yeah.
What about the arrows and bolts?
Oh yes, and the arrows and bolts. I'm assuming you
I took the
arrows.
arrows,
you
Laura
took
took the bolts, but we don't have any info for those yet.
They're +1 arrows and
Okay.
bolts. You can just write them on your sheet. There's no point in me making it.
How many are there of
Sorry.
each?
There's
Sorry.
20 arrows and 10 bolts.
Jordy, how many pages will that cover?
How many
For the book.
pages? The arrows you wouldn't need to identify because they're clearly just very
Good arrows,
well crafted.
yeah.
So
Nice
it would be
arrow.
the pipes is 1.
Okay.
The gauntlet is the 2nd.
Okay, 2.
The oil would be the 3rd.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
Okay, we got 3 pages left, guys.
Yeah. But we also just came into a fuck ton of cash.
Yeah, pipes of haunting, gauntlet of rose, shimmering silver oil. And then you also did find 2 spell scrolls, one of Revivify and one of Mass Cure Wounds.
I think those are both going to.
And
our
a fuck
favorite
ton of
other-
gold. Over 100 platinum, almost 1,000
Oh, yeah,
gold,
to be-
almost 2,000
We put that in the
silver.
group loot, right?
Not yet. Sorry, can you repeat
It's actually,
that?
I'm holding all the gold right now.
So this is
it's in my shirt.
Sword,
We've got it
Sword Coast.
written down.
Didn't, you wrote it.
Oh, maybe
Yeah,
I didn't write
we-
it.
did.
no, we
Yeah.
totally wrote it
I
down.
did
If
write
we
it
write
down.
it down
Sorry, I forgot it was
twice-
Sword Coast, and I was like, I didn't see that. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
If
no.
we write it down twice, that's like the.
No, no.
170
it was
last
I do
time.
have it written down.
Yeah,
Okay.
954 gold.
Yeah.
Just put in
2,000 silver.
group loot for now.
Wait, sorry. I don't think I don't think I got that gold and silver on here. What was
No,
the...
you didn't write it on this. You wrote it in your book.
It's my
Oh,
new
okay.
subscription box service.
You did write it
Let's
down
see.
in some
You wrote it in
Oh,
your
yeah.
book.
Because you both were tag teaming.
I think we were like,
Yeah.
ah, and I was
Yeah,
just writing it in the
because you
book.
were
I was
like,
putting it
write
right place.
this down.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not
Okay,
telling
yeah.
you
Write these
again.
numbers down.
Allura
Okay.
and Alith were
117 platinum,
Yes.
954 gold, 2,066 silver.
You got it, yeah.
And there was 273 Strahd gold and
Yep.
1,922 Strahd silver.
Yep.
And then 2 diamonds,
Yeah.
1 pearl, 1 aquamarine, 1 topaz.
All worth 500 gold pieces each.
Yeah, exactly. 500 gold each. We could just divvy up some.
So there's definitely some loot to be distributed as you
Oh
see
my God.
chance.
And everyone's inside the hut. I'm still on the floor.
Correct. So you are outside, having recovered enough that you're not unconscious, but you failed in your attempt to climb up the hut, and you decided to just sit down.
I'm just gonna stay here for a while.
You're just like neck deep in muck right now.
I'm just like spread eagle, like hands and legs.
Oh,
just
did we get the? No, we didn't get the immovable rod. So it's just
No, we gotta
hanging
get that guy.
It's hanging in the air.
Oh no,
right now.
Les went back and got it.
No, it's hanging in the air because the hut.
Oh
won't
yeah,
fly.
he went to like try to get it.
Correct.
and-
So we'll say over the course of a little while, you figure out a human pyramid high enough to be able to get up and get it 20 feet off the ground.
Oh god.
Could I
Funny, I
not
got
just
to be on
have
top.
Rick do it?
Okay.
Or you could do that. Have
No,
Rick click the
the
button.
bit.
Can we?
I could have Rick just
Oh,
hang
I
out
know.
on it while everyone's trying to get it.
Yeah.
Um,
So I will also just do a reminder as well,
Please.
because when you were inside, it was last week. It's a 15-foot square hut,
Yep.
packed with old furniture, a wooden cot, a wicker cabinet, a slender wardrobe, a wooden table, stool, the chest that you've now opened, and an iron tub stained with blood, as well as a series of bookshelves all full of books.
cool.
Ooh.
Oh, can we go?
Who's gonna look through all that shit?
I would love to take a look through
Yeah,
those
could I
bookshelves.
take a
Me
look?
too.
You can. So anybody who wants to look through the books, go ahead and roll an investigation check for me.
I'd like to look at the cabinet.
The cabinet, okay. Go and make an
Oh
investigation
wow,
check.
that'll do.
I'm still spread eagle on the ground.
I'll look at the.
Are you taking a short rest while they're all doing this?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Investigation,
Go ahead and
Jordy?
roll that. Yes.
I'm not
see.
doing it good.
26.
I got a 17.
I'll look at the wardrobe.
Wardrobe?
That's the last thing left.
You're looking at the cabinet, you said?
Cabinet.
Yep. Hope, what are you looking at?
I
Floor.
yeah. I mean, I
This
did
is
a
nice
really bad
flow.
roll, so I feel like no matter what I was looking at, I wouldn't have found anything.
So there are a million books, so it's more so the contents of the book that you find. So what was the roll? Because it does matter.
Okay. So it was investigation,
Yes.
so it was a 7.
A 7, okay. So the books that you find looking around the different shelves, you find a lot of journals speaking of the changing seasons, of the time being spent in the valley, and then eventually the relocation to Berez, which was several centuries ago, as best you can tell from how long the words have been written. And you go through a series of journals over the course of a short rest, so over the course of an hour. You go through, pouring through this information, trying to find more, but that's pretty much all you find in yours. 17, right? Yeah. Okay, so on a 17, poring over the pages of one book, you read of countless sacrifices made by Babali Saga to Mother Night, in search of a way to
Oh.
extend
Night
her
again.
life so that she may watch over her son. These sacrifices were to gather blood, which she would bathe in on nights of the new moon to stave off the effects of extreme old age. Hence, bloody tub.
You were trying to strength open the cage
Oh,
outside
To free
of
the ravens?
the ravens.
yeah, sure.
I just remember. So I had tried. I failed.
Yeah,
You
I
started
can see if I
trying
can-
that.
I also have the lock picks. I can try and do that if that makes more sense. Or is
I think,
the
I think you tried that and you failed,
Oh,
so
okay.
it ended
Right.
up just being to strength.
okay?
No, 'cause
Rip that
guidance
shit
always
open.
Sure.
works.
So guidance, so you get a D4.
That's not gonna help.
Right. We asked someone stronger to come over.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was like, I
remember
don't think it was
what
me.
Yeah, it
happened.
would've
But
been.
you were at it. I don't remember. I
It
was
would
at
have probably
the.
been me,
I know
considering I
you
came up.
tried to
I
pick
tried
it,
and
you
failed,
failed.
And then they
You tried
called
to
me
pick
over
it
to
and
the
failed.
chest.
I only got 6
Then you got
total,
called over the
so
chest
Yeah.
and succeeded in
doing it.
opening that. And then you got attacked by the crawling claws.
Oh yeah.
All the hands that just jumped out.
Oh
Poking
yeah.
out your
So
own.
I would have assumed being the strongest person currently.
Yep, so
in
go make a
that
strength check
vicinity.
with guidance.
Thank you. Sorry, that was a really deep burn.
I just remembered we're like looting the place, and there's all of these
Poor Raven.
human crows.
24. So
Ravens,
after a couple
ravens,
of failed
ravens.
lockpick checks and the Raven's just going crazy, essentially
Yeah.
just biting at your hands as you're trying to pick locks, you just kind of reach up there, rip it off the top, and just and the iron bars let go, and about 6 ravens fly out of a cage about that big.
Damn.
Oh,
They
that's
were
so
packed
cool.
in there.
That's really
Yeah.
awful.
You kind of watch them for a moment, knowing that the woman on the other side of the river was a were-raven, kind of half expecting one of them to turn, but none of them do. All of them are just ravens that all fly off into the night.
Oh, well, it'll work out. We don't have to feel bad about those other ones being ganked.
So that was yours on
Maybe those
17.
were
26, right?
Separated them.
So, another book seems to be written more recently, and it speaks of allies in the castle who alerted Babali Saga of a threat to, quote, my beloved boy. A secret society of were-ravens called the Keepers of the Feather that use common ravens as their spies to keep track of the comings and goings throughout the land. And there are addendums of several were-ravens who were captured, tortured, and killed, each referring to themselves as scouts.
Oh,
Lining
okay.
up to what you knew from speaking to the woman from
Yeah,
across
tracks.
the river. In addition to that, as you pull out that notebook, there's a very, very small one that's kind of butted up against the side. It's as if it's like slipped in behind and just been forgotten about. Looking through it, you see journal entries, old ones, very worn pages, ink faded, pleading with the goddess to afflict Queen Ravenovia with ill health and to have death visit her with all haste.
Oh.
For she, the queen, whose son would surpass all others in power and cunning, did not deserve to be called his mother. She did not see the same potential for greatness in the child and needed to be removed so that he may flourish in the new world he would create. Towards the end of the journal, right at the end of the hour, the last few pages, the writing changes to that of elation, of pure happiness. End quote. My beloved boy is finally free of his false mother. I know he will never accept the truth, but the spark that I placed in him as a baby has taken hold. The magic is in place. He has settled in the valley, and I must remain close to him. Sacrifices must be made to the goddess, such that I may aid him as his power grows.
Yo.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is like
Strahd's mommy.
Strahd's wannabe mommy.
Well, she's like, hey, like,
Magic
kind of
mommy.
inseminated his mom with my magic, and
Like the
mm.
other mom from Caroline.
Yeah.
Other.
So, okay.
I know I'm looking back to see if it matches anything.
There's something about a mother.
Yeah. Find the mother, she who gave birth to evil. This card tells of a powerful force for good and protection, a force of great hope.
But gave birth to.
So I still think we need to find, Queen Ravenovia.
Ravenovia, yes.
Okay.
The name also triggers it for Castle Ravenloft.
Yeah.
I imagine that this was most likely named Ravenloft after Ravenovia.
Quick question.
Yes.
So who saw the illusion of the baby in the crib? That was just you?
No, I did.
No, you
You
did,
did.
the doctor did, and Les did. They
Did
all
I
saw
as
it.
well?
From your angle, you wouldn't have.
Okay.
No, I don't believe I did.
But
I
it
have
was
a
a real
question.
angelic looking baby, right?
It was. It was an as if radiant light was pouring out from the skin.
Ah.
It's like a copper tone
Did
baby.
he
Wait,
look
an
like
abbot?
somebody that we know, y'all?
It's,
Anyone?
it's a
Yeah.
baby. It's tough to tell.
Okay.
It's
You
a baby,
You see
y'all.
baby Hitler, you don't know what he looks like.
Did
Oh.
Strahd do
Baby
like
Hitler
a
has the
10
baby
years
mustache.
challenge on Twitter?
Sorry?
Did Strahd do like the 10 years challenge on Twitter?
Oh, long way. Transformation Tuesday.
That was it.
That does take the better part of the short rest for you two. You want to
20 unnatural.
on the cabinet?
Wardrobe.
On the wardrobe. The wardrobe is full of a lot of moss green robes. Not actual moss. It's unlike the druids that you had seen before, where they were actually have their clothes made of earth,
Yeah.
earthen materials.
And poop.
Yeah, this was more so definitely nice clothing, like shockingly nice clothing.
Oh, really?
Very well tended to, but it just kind of seems to have discolored with age. But a lot of the garments look regal in some way, not to the level of a queen or a
We can
princess,
help our buddy
but
the abbot.
of somebody who potentially was involved in nobility in
Are
some
there any
kind.
red dresses?
There are no red dresses. Everything is a green,
Can we
mossy.
soak one of the green ones in the tub and bring
That's not going to make it red.
No,
It's just going to
that's
make
gonna
it
brown.
gross.
Yeah.
It's gonna look like the
Wait,
Rise
sort
of
of
the
red.
Wait,
Furies.
Lee's colorblind. It's in his backstory. Who's
Seriously.
red?
Yours is for the cabinet.
Yes.
Sorry, maybe
Uh,
I'm
25. Oh no, I laughed.
Looking through the
I
cabinet,
think we should do weird
you think you find a
demonstration for
couple
sure.
of false backs and realize, no, it's just loose boards. The cabinets are full of a series of knives, a series of blood-stained tools, things that you would imagine that would be used for as like meat hooks and things like that.
Good old meat hook.
Yeah, definitely a little small
I was
in
buying
comparison to some of what you've
Stage.
seen for like full-size cattle,
Meat hook.
but that's mostly
Size
what's in the
curveball.
cabinet. Is
Okay.
it appears to just be instruments of death in some way.
Okay.
As
Although
sorry.
I would go and like not finding anything there, also kind of scan on the bookshelf to see if there's anything of interest or you know.
Looking around, trying to like flip through books and everything, you're mostly finding the same things that Hope was finding. It seems like most of the important information was in the one book that the doctor found, and then the one that was kind of hidden behind,
Okay.
which had a DC 25 to find.
Well, well.
done.
Nice.
Yeah.
As I am lying there on the ground, exhausted as fuck.
Have you
do I
fixed
know?
your hit points, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah, can I do some hit die as well?
Don't forget. Yeah, you would be able to because you weren't doing anything for the short rest, so that's fine. Don't forget as well, you get the extra D6 for the ring every time you do that, so you probably didn't have to roll as many hit dice.
Right. Okay.
So for an hour, you'd roll an additional 66 of free
Right.
hit points.
So
Well, you can figure that out after.
yeah. I was like taking a look around to see if anyone's like near or any
No
noise
movement,
around.
no sound of any kind. The
Okay.
only thing you see off in the distance, about 300 feet, 400 feet away, is a single lone scarecrow.
Fucking scarecrow.
Is there anything else in the hut?
You've done a pretty thorough check.
Alright.
The
Oh,
floorboards were lifted up. You found the green gem there.
We might want to check
the
out the
chest was
Burgomaster's
opened up.
mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think-
Just to double check for hit die, I don't get anything other than
You
the
add your
armor.
con.
Okay.
Has anyone checked on Les? He took a ton of damage.
Rick, go check on him.
We're
I'll
outside
go
of him.
outside
Yeah.
as well.
I was
And
gonna say,
you see Les just pass the fuck out on the grass. Yeah, he's
That
just
mother
asleep,
shit
snoring,
out,
little like shimmies
Like-
every once in a while, like as if he's trying to stab something.
Guys, he's dreaming.
aww,
He's
he
like
thinks he's people.
It's doing the circle.
Like how dogs do, where they're like,
Yeah.
Every so often.
Son of a bitch.
Or like,
Oh,
Oh, hey, I had kind of a crazy question.
Yeah.
Now, supposing there were an inquiring young warlock who were curious about, say, re-enchanting a certain skull.
Right. So the enchantment on the skull was broken when Bubbly Saga passed.
Yeah.
You would imagine it's some kind of a permanent levitation spell that was specifically tied to her. It's possible to do it, but it's not something that is has remained imbued
Okay.
after she died.
No Bowser skills for you.
Any of those
Yeah.
books got anything about levitation?
Nothing in there. It speaks of Mother Night granting power,
Okay.
and the sacrifice is giving her the abilities that she has. So you would imagine that she's most likely some kind of a patron.
Okay.
But that would be about it.
How's it going up there?
Hey, buddy. How you doing? You want some jerky?
jerky? What kind of jerky?
You know, food jerky, the kind we carry in our sacks and we eat all the time.
That's true. I do like food jerky.
There we
picture
go.
like a Zoidberg, like, boom.
Exactly.
Whoa.
That's exactly what it is.
Your face opens up this way.
Whoa!
yeah, just predator.
Never done that before.
You guys want to go check out the Burgomaster's place?
I think we definitely
I
should.
think-
I think it's gonna be
yeah.
fucking haunted, and there's. I want to kill something.
Do
Wait,
we
why
all
are we
wanna
going to
take
the
a-
Burgomaster's place?
Because there
Would
might be
I
more
been able
information
to
about
hit points as
Lady
well?
Lady
For
Friend.
more
Yeah.
dice?
No, I guess so.
I'll say sure.
Okay.
Yeah, because you weren't really doing any deep reading or anything. You kind of glanced through a couple of books and
Looked at the meat hooks and I was like, oh.
yeah. I'll say that's
Ugh,
fine.
I'll be
Yeah.
leaning over here.
Looking at the meat.
Already.
By the way,
I'll have made the meat hook joke. In
this, there was. I know that we've kind of said we're maybe gonna give back that stone to the
Yeah.
winery.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
For rewards?
But wouldn't the best reward be a stone that could make inanimate objects kill things?
Is that the kind of power we want to have?
Well, fuck
Against
yes.
Strahd, yeah.
I mean,
Do we know if we
is
can?
it
I mean, can we use this
a
thing?
dog?
Like,
can I perhaps take a look at it and see if that's actually a thing
yeah, is
that's
this like
gonna
a
happen?
turnkey thing? Like we just stick it in the ignition?
Can I
turn it,
assist
and,
with like my
moves?
plant magic-y stuff? Like I don't have a lot of things.
I
but...
would let you and the doctor make separate Arcana checks.
Can I cast guidance on
Pick one.
the doctor?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. He's got a higher chance, but I have +1 to Arcana. Okay, I can do it.
Not
25.
Oh, yeah, almost a nat 20, and then it was a 2.
I
So
also have +1 to
You look at it, you're like, pretty green.
I like it.
I like it.
It looks like fonts.
You look at the gem, knowing what you know of animation rituals.
You betrayed me.
There is typically a sacrifice paid in order to animate.
Keeps doing that.
That may have been done here in blood, in the lives of animals, of people. You're not sure. But it is something that theoretically could be done, but you would need to figure out the ritual of animation, which you have no basis of knowing how
This
that
is
would
very
work.
true.
And you would need some kind of sacrifice depending on the size of the thing that you would want to animate. It would have to be
Something
an
that's
equivalent
substantial.
exchange.
Oh, like
I'm
Full
not
Metal
sure
Alchemist.
if I'm
Okay,
down
in.
to sacrifice.
So,
things.
Les, basically what my little book here says is we'd have to sacrifice someone that was kind of fish-like, maybe about your size, if we wanted to get the
Where are
skull
we
going.
gonna find someone like that out here? That doesn't
I-
make any
I
fucking
don't know.
sense.
However, looking at this gem, we could also take it back to the winery, and you could be the drinking champion of the winery.
I think a better idea is to use it as leverage to gain assistance in our fight.
What, like a trading
Yeah.
thing?
I mean, they have
Yeah.
been pretty good to us.
They've
I
been
think.
helpful
I kind of
so far,
think that
but-
if we bring this back, they will be deeply in our debt.
Yeah, they're
But-
going to be
Right.
pretty
They've been
sweet.
helpful to us because we've been incidentally doing things that benefit them. This will actually put them in our debt.
Yeah.
So,
right, that's what I'm saying is,
yeah.
you know, we can then
Right up until we kill Strahd and leave
Use
this
that.
god-awful place.
Well, if they assist us in the fight against Strahd, their debt will be paid.
I guess so, but we're
Or
gonna
we
do
could
feed
kill
of
the
wine.
fishman and get a floaty skull.
That's well,
I mean, equal trade-off here.
I'm feeling pretty good about my last fight. You can fucking try if you want.
How
there will
many,
be a sacrifice, and
how-
it'll be
how
the
you
one
feel
we
many
can
are
choose.
you
See
right
how
now,
it
Les?
goes for you.
Good luck with making magic happen.
Anyway,
I figure it out.
I mean, ultimately also, I mean, I don't know much about magic, but I do feel like something like this should be used in a positive way, not negative. It's got
I
some
agree.
powerful earth magic, and I imagine, you know, it should be with its brethren, really.
Based on my roll on the gem, do I pick up anything as to what sort of magic it do?
What magic it do?
It would be.
Which magic
It would be
card
like transmutative magic.
Oh, okay.
color would it be? Okay,
Thanks.
cool.
So I think we just return
Head to
this.
the
I
Burgomaster.
might hear this because it's my last.
Yeah, let's head to
cover.
the Burgomaster. Clear it out, then get back.
So the mansion you know is basically due south of where you are right now in the hut. You have to pass by a series of scarecrows.
Don't touch.
Giving them a fairly wide berth, knowing what you know about them, so no interactions really to speak of that happen there.
Do
Can I make a
Stupid
perception
hate.
check?
do we get a?
just-
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna ask, could I do a perception check to make sure we're not being tailed by any other like weird shit?
Ooh,
Perception
thank
check.
you.
Are we still within the first hour that I cast Pass Without Trace?
No, because you took
Because we
short
took
rest.
the.
Okay.
So
Right.
24.
24? Best you can tell, only things are around the scarecrows, but remember the fog here is very thick. Anything beyond 200, 250 feet is basically just a wall of haze.
Fair enough.
As we pass the
Aragorn's
scarecrows, I
on that.
just give a
I
very
should
hard
get
look.
Just making sure there
Do
was
we
any
do we get a
ogres.
sense that the scarecrows are creatures of their own and will still
Be active?
be
You have
active,
no
or
idea.
it's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that also
you-
like the skull?
You have no idea. You were warned of the fact that the scarecrows, if you get too close, they attack. So you're
Okay.
just giving them a wide berth because you haven't interacted with them.
If there's no point in us getting in a scuffle with something like this if she did lay some kind of independent shot. I don't know.
Yeah, but look at them. They're just being all still and
Let's-
stuff.
Let's come over here. Let me put some spider
Can
webs on
I-
your wounds, and I
Can
start
I
like
hold
patting the spider
Les's
silk.
hand to stop him from going too close?
I'm not going near them. I'm just like making a sneak
Okay,
attack.
well, I take Les's hand, you know, just like how like a scorned parent is just like, for God's sake, come on.
Unless that scarecrow looked at you funny.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
What, mate?
Approaching the mansion,
The guy said he could drink you.
empty, arched windows stare out from the ruin, while an untamed garden runs rampant on the south grounds,
Untamed guard.
surrounded by broken walls that are no longer able to contain it. East of the ruin, a crude wooden fence has been erected much more recently, forming a large circular yard in which several goats are penned.
Oh, right.
Atop every second fence post lies a humanoid skull, forming a ring of roughly 24 bony visages.
Oh.
This
Well, I like
garden
what it
is
is.
atrocious.
Oh, we should probably free these guys, huh?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm very apprehensive to go
Why don't-
anywhere
why don't we
closer
take them-
until we
I was gonna
check
say,
out the
take
skulls.
Why don't we take the goats back to the winery with us?
Oh, I guess that's true.
Hack
Take him,
goats.
or even
Who's
check the
got
last
herding skills?
I mean,
Oh, we could
Oh,
sell
he was
goats.
hurting some
I
stuff.
have
I
really
played
good-
Red Dead Redemption 2. I know that those are
I'm
worth
pretty
something.
good with animals, I'm sure.
Cinnamon
We
could
can talk to
potentially
them.
help.
Yeah,
I can
alright.
sort. I can speak
Can
to
they?
them.
I don't
won't.
know. Hurt.
I mean, we could also eat them too. Just
No,
saying.
that's gonna happen later.
They're very good.
You guys want to go in? Let's go in the mansion.
Let's go in the
this
mansion.
spooky place.
Yeah.
Go in the mansion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check the front door.
Yeah.
There is no door. It's just,
Oh.
it's ruins.
I checked the floor.
Okay. You look at the floor. Stone. Checking around as best you can tell. Also, handy charm. Inside the one-story mansion lie few intact walls, separating a scant 4 chambers, each of which has its stone floor littered with rubble, rotten wood, and mud. Fog begins to swirl in front of you and coalesce into a spectral form in an older man's face.
Oh, hey. What's up, buddy?
It continues, taking the shape of a giant of a man, standing almost 7 feet tall. His features mutilated and his entrails hanging out from his abdomen like frayed ropes.
Having a dick look.
Despite its intimidating presence, the apparition's expression remains somewhat soft. Why do you invade my home?
We don't mean to disturb yous.
Be gone. Leave me to my anguish.
Did the hag do this to you?
Baba, yeah.
What's up?
Baba the Saga, did she do this to you?
I do not know that name.
Was it the devil?
Sorry, just jumping in. 7 feet tall. Does he look familiar in any way? Like, is he Firbolg or human or?
He's human.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, he just seems to be a very tall, like lanky human. Devil. Yes. Long time ago.
What happened here?
And he kind of like searches his memory a little bit. You know, it's pretty common for any kind of dead creature to have some kind of loss of memory. It takes him a good 15, 20 seconds or so of kind of looking around the room and like touching the walls and things and trying to recollect as best he can. And all the while the entrails are like spectrally hanging out and getting dragged around after him.
Can I take a pebble and go?
Just flies right through him. He just kind of looks at you.
And I take Les's hands again, and I'm
Hey, Les, that scarecrow says
pull him
something
in
different
kind of
from
close to me, kind of yank him.
you. Oh. Love connection.
Alright. It's monologue time.
Please.
Perfect.
Strap in,
Wait.
motherfucker.
Long ago, when I still held a noble position in this town, there was a young girl, Marina, the daughter of a simple farmer, but she was smart, clever, a rare beauty in these lands. She could have done great things, here or abroad, but another fate befell her. The devil, his gaze fell upon her, and he used his guile to seduce her.
Ew.
Her father came to me, alerting me of the marks on her neck and arms. I beseech the wisdom of our priest, Brother Grigor, for how to act. Together we confronted her. We asked her to recount the tale, and she said that they were in love. That she was to become his bride, sitting atop the throne of Ravenloft, and finally allowing Strahd to forget Tatiana. We tried to convince her. Her father begged her to see reason, but the devil's hold on her was too strong. She said he was returning that night to spirit her away, to start their life together. In our despair, we saw one option. We had to save her soul from eternal damnation. We could not let her take him. The devil returned for her that night and found her still in her bed. Not in my life or in my death if I heard rage like that. Her father, the priest, and I huddled in this mansion, praying the devil would depart without his prize. But instead we felt the water run between cracks in the stones. We looked out over the village as the river swelled and flooded our homes, our crops, forcing everyone outside where he slew them one by one. Wish we had found another way to save that poor girl. And so I remain, trapped within these walls, knowing that I failed her in her life, but potentially saved her a much more gruesome fate. And hoping that her soul was passed on to another as special as she was.
Oh, dip. Soul passed on to someone special. Oh, dip.
When
That's your girl.
what year
Don't we
did this happen to you?
Fucker.
Years, centuries. It's been too long. I cannot remember.
I think we were told before that the village was flooded for like 400 years. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Riz is back on.
We're in this land to destroy the devil. Whatever. Is there any aid you can give us? Is there anything?
The devil cannot be destroyed.
Okay, bud.
He is eternal. Many have tried and fallen like water crashing against the rock.
He's not eternal. He was a baby once, and he can be killed. It might
Water
not be easy.
slowly erodes.
This guy knows a thing or two about water, too.
That's very mean,
I'm just saying.
but true. But true.
Yeah, everyone knows that about water.
We see him just kind of like float a little bit and just kind of again like paw his hand. There's no wall there currently, but you would imagine there probably was one at one point, and he kind of just runs his hand against something that might have once been there.
Can I cast a wall of water just so he has something to like?
Scary.
Oh my god! Can I like see Les trying to do something?
What? I'm trying to give him the satisfaction of touching a wall. What's so bad about that?
Ghost,
I
you
don't
can't
think-
touch stuff.
I don't
I
think
know,
you
but
wanna
still,
give
he
this
can see
guy-
it.
Traumatized by flooding city.
Don't bring
he
water into
cast
this.
it.
You did cast it, so the wall kind of appears,
Can I
and you see
not
the
try
hand.
to stop? Like, how is this cast?
Both of you make an
Actually,
initiative
what is
roll
the
for
cast
me.
time? on that?
Fantastic.
It's an action. Yeah. Make an initiative roll for me.
He's saying the water words.
What is it plus?
Initiative.
Initiative.
Unnatural 20.
21.
Whoa!
So you go to cast the spell, and your hands begin to form the symbols, and hope you kind of recognize a spell, and you're
And I'm
like,
like,
all of Les's shit is water. Fuck this asshole. And you just slap his hands down, and the
It
spell
just
kind of
sprays
fizzles a
up the
little.
back
You
wall.
don't-
Ow!
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like,
Is there anything that we could do to give you
Trying to hold
peace?
the hand like a fire hose.
The only
to
thing
it.
is to know that Marina's soul has passed on another
What did Marina look like?
Do we have that going down?
radiant.
We do have
Beauty.
this goddamn doll.
Do we?
What was her hair color and her eye color?
Blonde.
Do you have it?
I think.
Blue eyes, I believe. It's been some time, I don't remember.
Can I grab the doll
Yeah.
and be like, does it look like her?
Yes. How did you...
We may know the
Where did you
person
find this?
whose soul.
This guy doesn't deserve to know. He murdered a young girl.
he did.
He did.
I agree, but I also feel like this might be a case of context. I mean, we've prevented.
I have never forgiven myself for what I've done.
I don't either. I'm gonna leave.
And I
Sorry,
understand
Ghostman.
that response, but the horrors that she would have endured being turned by him going to survive as a wretched creature of the night, as he was.
I've seen what happens when the undead get a hold of someone. I don't blame you.
We understand that there was something strange in this neighborhood.
Oh my god. Her soul has passed on
Strahdbusters.
to someone who's resisted the thrall of Strahd.
Who is this?
We won't say the name.
We know her. That's all we'll say. And she's strong.
We need either.
Gyri.
Can you?
Our friend, Irina.
Is there anything that you've learned since you've passed on that you can tell us? Otherwise, like our party member, Allura, your act was unforgivable.
I
And
understand
what can
her-
you do to right these wrongs?
I understand her response. It was not something that we did lightly. I mean, her father having to do that to his own daughter. But it was necessary. The
Bet
other
you wish you
option
could've
was to
kept
see her
Lord
be
Adam.
corrupted and turn to him and, in all likelihood, have her come back and murder the village anyways out of sheer malice.
Do you have any of her belongings? Or might they still be in her house?
Her house was on the south side of town. You're welcome to look, but the flood destroyed everything. I have not been able to leave this ruin in hundreds of years. I do not know.
Well, we appreciate.
You mentioned
Bless you, ghost.
More of the
Strahd's-
entrails spill out of
Yeah.
his
Strahd's Tatiana. Do you know anything about her? You mentioned her.
She was his bride before he became what he is, what he was.
Do you know what she looked like?
Does it look like her? Show me on the doll what she looks like.
No.
Very similar. I believe the term is he has a type.
I see it.
And
Yeah,
given
thought.
the lands of Barovia being what they are, of souls reincarnating in others, it would be only natural that every few centuries a new host would come along.
Doctor, you can cast polymorph, right?
So are you saying that
Disguise
Marina
what you look like?
inherited Tatiana's
So I'll
soul?
take one for the team here.
That I do not know. Well, the stories of Tatiana were from before Strahd became what he is.
Yeah, I'm just gonna Bugs
yes.
Bunny it.
There is a chance
I'm
that
saying just take the stain.
Marina was simply a remnant of what she
wanna be
looked
mad.
like, and Strahd saw that in her. If you know the person who looks like that, and he gestures towards the doll, bring her here. Let me see that the soul has moved on. Perhaps I can find some semblance of peace.
You know, we'll see what we can do.
I don't think this is necessarily a bad idea. Like, yeah,
It's
this
gonna be a hard
guy.
one to convince
You know, we'll
Gyrina to come
we'll
in.
see if she might be amenable to that.
That is all that I ask. It
But
is
we'll
not-
tell her your story and what happened, so that she may make her own choice.
We'd give
Yes.
the choice to the
Yes, she
person
should.
who should
That's
have
fair.
had it.
one who is as strong-willed as Marina was. It would be only fair to allow her to make that choice herself.
We wouldn't have it any other way.
Marina.
Well,
Okay.
thank you for the information, and whatever you may have done is a sad fate. And
Yes, it is. And he kind of turns and vanishes back into the fog and begins to coat the floor again.
That was a was a
Yeah.
bummer.
Can I drag Les out to check in with Allura? But I'm too apprehensive to leave Les alone
Got
and
the big gauntlet
fucking
hand.
shit up. So yeah, I'm just pulling him along
I'm
with me.
way far down.
So one thing that you do notice, Les, is that Hope has a rather shining brand new gauntlet on their right hand. That's
What
kind
does
of
it do?
dragging you up.
your
You've
gauntlet.
never seen it before. Looks nice.
It's pretty.
It's got a nice rose on it.
That it does, Les. Come on.
Oh, is that new?
Okay.
Kinky.
So that was. So wait, it's us three.
Yeah,
So you three outside. You three inside,
Okay.
and you three outside.
Yeah, to catch up with Allura to kind of check in with
I was
how
gone.
she's
Wandered off.
Yeah.
Running away.
What direction
Well-
are you going? You've got the gardens to the south, the goat pen to the north, and then you can head back the way that you came from if you want to head back east.
You know what? I would have actually just headed back to the wagon.
Yeah, how much time would have passed? Like, would we be able to see Allura in the distance or
At
not?
the speed that she moves, probably.
I could
not.
track her though. I'd find out.
Yeah, but
You'd
we
be able to
inside.
try and find tracks, but see her, not with the fog.
Where did Allura go?
Let's find her.
It's been
This
more than
is
30
insane.
seconds. She's completely out of view. So you
Oh.
could try to make a survival check if you wanted to
Yeah.
try and find her tracks.
Leave anything you want to.
I'll track her. What is it, survival?
Before we take off.
I don't know. Have you left with
I
us
don't want to
then?
get out of this place. Sucks.
Yeah.
This is
Should we
not the fun.
take those goats or free those goats?
You can open the gate.
Yeah, I'm gonna open the gate.
Survival
You haven't really
18.
looked around inside the mansion either. You just kind of
Oh.
saw him and then had the
Oh, I
conversation.
want to look around inside
Okay,
the
sure,
mansion.
yeah, we'll ghost bust.
18.
Just make. What's your
Busted
passive
me.
stealth? 10 plus your stealth.
We are the Spengler and
10
Beckman
plus
of the
my
group.
stealth?
Yeah.
It's 20.
It's 20. Yeah.
No,
you
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
know.
have found her.
You wouldn't know what it is. You kind of look at the ground and there's a lot of footsteps and you're not entirely sure in what direction she went.
Besides,
Fuck.
So Allura is off on her own.
Hey, Jordy.
Yep.
Leaf and I are gonna check out the mansion.
Checking out the mansion? Okay.
Busted.
You two looking around, there's basically no walls. It's one story. There's no second
Oh, okay.
floor or anything like that. You kind of like sift through the rubble a little bit. Takes you a couple of minutes, but eventually you find there is a trap door underneath the pile of rubble.
Okay. Can we
May I?
inspect the trap door for traps?
I would like to check it for a trap.
Go for it. And roll investigation checks for me, both of you.
It's the Jesse and
Lessen
Jesse
yourself.
adventure.
Okay,
Or
that's
guiding
fine.
yourself.
Yep.
25.
Yeah, that's better than me.
All right. Not trapped.
Cool.
Not locked. Just
Cool. I'm gonna open that bad boy.
all right. Lifts up easily enough. Opens to reveal a stone staircase descending into a cellar where 24 empty wine casks lie moldy and rotten in a few inches of stagnant water.
Oh, okay.
Best space ever.
I was like, oh, that's not fun.
Can I make an investigation check for anything else in the?
Looking around inside the room, sure. Go for it.
Can I assist? Because I'm there too.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I's there.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, sorry, investigation.
Yep.
Would for me just be 20.
22.
22. Looking around, it's stone floor, stone walls, pretty classic wine cellar. No real places to hide anything. You do notice that there are the casks are stamped with the seal of the Wizard of Wines, a slightly altered one from what you've seen, given the age.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But two of them do have a surprisingly intact label, and you manage to piece together champagne doing stock.
I'm gonna take those empty bottles.
They're casks.
Oh, they're casks.
Yeah,
okay.
they're full barrels.
Oh,
We get
yeah.
in one, roll around.
Wee.
Yeah,
Cool.
they're fairly rotten at this point. At best, you could pry off one of the seals.
I would like to. Can I take one of the labels off?
The labels,
It's
kind
like
of as you
snap
touch them, it just starts just shred.
Okay.
They seem to have been undisturbed for several hundred
Okay,
years.
cool. I'm not gonna worry.
This will be vintage. We can turn this into a museum later.
Yeah, I agree.
Alrighty. Yeah,
Okay.
that's about it. Looking around the mansion, nothing else you can find. Everything seems to be pretty much a ruin except for that one little trapdoor.
Okay.
And sorry, was Elise? Were you with us?
I went outside after.
Yeah, you were trying
I
to
did.
We're having
Sorry, are y'all
Trying to
going now?
help
So now we're in 3 separate groups.
We weren't gonna leave yet, but we were just
No,
trying to see if
they
we
were
could
just
see.
outside. You
Alright.
two were inside looking around, and then
I'm being
is off on
dragged
completely.
around.
I do really like. You just have your little feet sticking up. There's just like a line of where you're going. It's your heels.
I want to free the goats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. So heading out north from the mansion, it's good 200 feet, 300 feet out, and you eventually come to the pen. You've got all the skulls on top. There is no gate from what you can see.
Okay, so
they're all
fine.
just in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't gotta do.
Those goats are
I have a pretty good animal handling score, so I'd probably want to help with. I think goats are cute.
Yeah, let's save some goats.
Let's
Yeah,
save some
And
goats.
sell them
Speak-
later.
I'm gonna speak to the goats. Say y'all can leave now.
Why don't you just tell them they can come with us and we'll
You can
find
come
them
with
somewhere
us.
safe.
So there's
Goat
no gate, but
protector.
there is a fence, so they can't get out. You
Oh.
have to find a way to get them out. It's just that you can't like open a gate and let them loose.
Okay.
Right.
Hey, big guy, you wanna Hulk smash this gate? This fence here?
Sure.
Oh, I can help you.
You're not there.
you decided to run off, so we're gonna smash some goats.
What?
I chop the.
Oh, I need to
sorry,
pay
It's a wooden fence. It's
got
just
a
got
woodcutter's
skulls on
axe.
every second
That's right.
post.
Oh, so we could just like remove some of the fences in between.
You can chop through it. You can try
Yeah.
and break it in some way.
Okay, yeah, can we do that?
You got a
Wanna
woodcutter's axe.
Check
do that.
before you.
Yeah, I'm gonna check to make sure there's any like weird. Can I do an Arcana check to make sure there isn't some spooky
Sure,
shit?
go for it.
While Leaf's doing that, can I just go like interact with the goats a little bit and see if they're like receptive or friendly or if they're hostile?
So
Rabid
looking
killer
around,
goats!
You're reaching over.
I'll jump over into the pen.
Okay. So you put a hand onto the wooden beam. As a Leaf, you kind of like look over at one of the skulls, and all of a sudden the skull just rises about 3 inches
Oh,
off, and you look over and see a Leaf has touched the fence, and you kind of instinctively reach your hand out to stop, and all the skulls just open and emit a piercing scream. All of them. I need all of you to make a wisdom saving throw for me.
Oh my god.
Not you.
Oh boy.
Well, Les is near me.
Yeah, Les would be near you.
Fuck.
Oh, actually, that's okay.
Wow. Is it just Les who would be near me then? Yeah.
What kind of throw?
Wisdom saving throw.
So you get a
18?
you get a
12.
plus something.
You would have
Alright.
+2.
29.
20.
I have +2.
Just Les, I
Yeah,
believe.
just
Oh yeah, because I have a nat 1.
Oh!
I rolled a natural 20.
Natural 20, so natural
Nice.
1.
I mean, so it is my wisdom saving score is really good, so it is 10
It's 10? Okay.
in the end.
So all of you hear this
Yeah.
scream and immediately just cover your ears, and the scream is rattling around inside your brains like it's gotten inside your ears. All of you are able to push it out except for you, Elite. All of a sudden you hear the scream lessen and lessen until eventually you can't hear it anymore. You think, oh, okay, that's great, and then you try to speak and you can't hear yourself speak. You are deafened right now.
Ooh. Blood starts coming down your
It's DC 12,
Okay.
so you are considered deaf.
All right. How long does it last for? Like I said, I don't know.
for life.
So I'm gonna see
Gonna get real
Elif
good sign language.
react.
And you're hearing her
Yeah.
saying things.
Oh.
Can you? I can't.
I'm gonna hand Elif some paper and a quill because I got these.
Do I know how to write? Yes, I do.
Do you know how to write?
Well, I was like, I haven't had to.
We
I've never
truly are a
written in
bunch
game
of murder
before.
hobos now.
I mean, I'm a ranger. Writing's for those who like book learning.
I don't have
Well.
I don't have lesser restoration prepped. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't.
What the
hear.
hell was that?
Can you hear us? Nod if you can. No.
You just see. You can't hear anything.
Okay, so on the paper I'm gonna write, use this to communicate.
I'll just
for
write like,
Leaf's trying
I
to
can't hear
practice.
you! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Oh, I think I'm deaf.
Leaf's going through
What
as
if
much
you wrote
ASL
it?
as
I'm gonna put a frowny face underneath.
Meh.
You kind of instinctively start freaking out, wondering what the hell's going on. Leaf, you start going through your spells, trying to figure out what you can do. Over the course of the next minute, you
keep
start
casting
to hear
guidance
it come
on it?
back a little bit. It just appeared to be a temporary deafness. You would imagine this is realizing what that was, most
Mental
likely
alert.
some kind of an alert,
Yeah.
and then a potential way of deafening so that they didn't hear Baba Saga coming.
I see.
Coming.
Oh, that would have been shitty.
Yeah.
That would have been bad. That would have been her in the skull in the air with 3/4 cover firing spells at you.
Nope.
That's how you TPK.
Those goddamn goats
Can we-
just
So
irresistible.
at this point, you kind of like instinctively don't want to touch the fence anymore. So it's kind of up to you guys if you want to break into it. Or...
These goats are not fucking worth it.
Can we
Jesus
spell-
Christ.
And you see the
spell-
goats are all like having like falling over. as
Let's
they
save
do.
the
I want to
ghosts.
say the guys.
Yeah.
Like I can still talk. I just can't hear you. But I'll just say, can we dispel magic on the fire?
Yeah, I
That
don't
was
Why does your
got more
voice sound
cockney
like
when you went
this?
deaf.
Yeah, I'll cast the
Because I
spell
can't
magic.
hear it.
Is that your deaf voice?
You kind of look at it.
Well, actually, I already said it. Yeah, never mind.
You kind of look at it and you begin to cast the spell, and then you kind of think, and you're like, pink, and you just knock one of the skulls off. It appears like whatever the spell was maybe a
Was it
once a
one
day
time?
kind of thing.
I take out my
you
one
want
of
me
my
to
blades and I
mark
just like
Sorry.
Do you want me to mark
No.
off? Okay.
murder
I'll
all the
say
other
that-
skulls.
You realize that the spell of that nature, of that strength,
Comes off.
probably wouldn't be something that could be immediately redone.
Cool.
It would most likely need to be reset in some way.
Then Paul Bunyan style, I'll pull out my axe and take a swing at the fence.
So you kind of take the axe out and just ding into it, and it just cracks right through easily enough. It's just standing.
In the meantime, I would have still gone over to see if I could sort of touch base with the goats and if they were friendly. And
Sure. Make a animal handling check.
We're all passed over.
The
Trying to
goats all attack
The
the
goats
leaf
rise
at
a
once.
couple inches in the air and scream.
22.
22.
My name is Asmodeus.
They're goats, right? Pretty basic things. They're used to someone coming around and slaughtering them, so they immediately walk away from you.
So I'll try and just with a 22.
And you slowly get them to come in a little bit, and they start nuzzling into you and eating little bits of.
I'll feed them a little bit of my rations.
Okay, easy enough to do. So eventually, Leaf, you're able to hack through to get to the point where you can start pulling them out. You have a total of 9 goats.
Yeah, we got goats.
Yeah.
You got some
Goats.
fucking goats.
All right,
Let's go.
Go.
We start a
Try and
living.
find-
Let's
Maybe
go
Allura.
back to Velaki.
Oh,
Can we find Allura?
yeah, I'm gonna cast.
Oh, yeah.
Should we walk back to the cart, to the wagon? If she's not there, I'll cast sending.
Yeah, she knows where the wagon is.
All right.
With that, fuck that feels.
Just so you're aware as well, as you turn away from the goat pen, one of the things you didn't see before is you do see that there is a small churchyard. Through the fog, you see an empty shell of an old stone church, north of which is a cemetery of leaning gravestones enclosed by a disintegrating iron fence. Half the cemetery currently is sunk into the mire, and a lot of the stones are kind of just laying on their backs. Looks like just a fully destroyed ruin.
Okay, I still vote for finding Allura and then coming back to explore this and also to check out the house that Myrina lived in. But once we have Allura, because I don't want the potty being separate.
That's true.
Do you want me to just cast sending right now?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
that.
please.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's
I'll
do
cast
that.
Going to
sending
church.
on Allura.
Okay. 25 words.
25 words.
Where the fuck
Yeah.
are you?
Hey, Allura. I hope you're all right.
It's 2
Things
words.
are going well.
Technically 2 words.
We left the ghost guy.
Going to church.
Just ask if she's all right.
Jay goes to church.
Wait, I already asked if she was alright.
No,
Yeah.
we said we hope you're all right.
Whoa. Are you alright?
That's
So you got
16.
9 words left.
Yeah.
We're going to the church in Perez. It's Leaf.
See
So you hear
there,
Leaf's
Funny
voice come into your ear, that whole message, and then in the end you just hear, it's Leaf.
It's like
I
when
didn't
you
want
know.
I didn't want to confuse
No,
you.
I appreciate that.
You
I
also
like that.
don't know what this is.
I don't know what it is.
No, you've
No.
never
Has she?
had this.
Really?
Had
Yeah.
she? Hold on.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like
Had
with
she,
my
had
history
she
and
not
everything?
Wait. Had she not seen
Nobility
cast
isn't
that on
magic.
her? The guy
No, I know, but I was like,
Dad?
I'm very educated.
No.
You're educated
No,
in
but
some
just
kind of
walking to
magical
get
spell,
around
but you
that.
don't know what the nature of it is.
Okay, cool. If I don't know what it is, I wouldn't respond then.
Okay. Yeah, you wouldn't really know that you
Can
you
respond.
could think about a couple of words. So what would be the things that would come to your mind
It's
as
Leaf.
you've heard that?
As to my mind,
As you heard that, what would be the things that came to your mind?
Leaf's big
I'd
hog.
be like, yeah, I'm good.
Right. So you would pretty much get that.
Well, she's good.
The universal sign for you're all right.
I don't know where she
Okay.
is though.
That's
Doesn't
not
church.
good enough for me.
Oh, I mean,
I don't feel comfortable, especially in this weird
Okay,
village.
well, she must have gone back to.
Oh, for fuck's sake, can I just walk back to the wagon by myself?
Okay.
No,
Wait.
you're not.
Let's begin.
Whoa!
That really did not mean to be anywhere more severe. I feel really bad.
Someone's going towards chaotic.
Oh my god.
well, I guess
Someone punched a hole.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we want you to be able to use
Everyone's
the
listening to
shield.
me!
Oh
Starts
my
killing
God.
ghosts
I'm
left,
sorry,
right,
like,
center.
I literally went like that and it just went.
Do you want these ghosts to die? Do you?
So,
Yeah, we're all.
No, we're
let's-
staying together!
You begin to walk away, and hope do you follow?
Yes!
I'll go to the church with you.
yeah, let's go to the church.
You two are going to the church.
Yeah.
I'll follow
You're
them.
going with them to the church.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
you
so
two are walking
sorry. I
back to
need
the
to make
wagon.
sure everyone's alright. I'm holding a goat.
So you do have 9 goats.
I'm just gonna.
You have,
Can we
unless
send-
you have a rope or some way of tethering them,
I have
they're all
rope.
just.
Oh, yeah, we have.
I have rope.
So you're roping them together.
I'm gonna tie them all
Okay, and
together.
wait, can we have
there's a line
retroactively
of goats.
stealth tied the rope to Les?
I can't wait.
He just started walking away.
Hey, Les, come back real quick. Can you
No.
take care of our goats?
No,
He's gone.
fuck off.
Les.
He's vanished into the fog at this point, as has Hope.
All right, I'm gonna I'll tether the goats to the.
This is going to be the dumbest way we all die.
I know.
Are all their
that's why
legs
we
tied
supposed
together?
to
They're on the
stay
side and
together.
it's being like dragged. Like,
No. It's like they've all got their
They're
collars
friends.
tied together. It's fine.
Um,
Like a line, not like a circle.
Yeah.
So you make your way over to the churchyard.
They're just going in a circle.
You see unearthed, rotten coffins, moldy bones, or just half buried in the graveyard, seeming to have been rezzed in some way by the flowing water several centuries ago. Looking around, you find the rotten remains of a pulpit, an iron bell half immersed in the marsh. It seems to have some kind of markings of Palor on it, the same sunburst symbol that you used to see, and lying among the remains of a collapsed steeple. Essentially, the roof just having caved in on itself.
Any
nothing of value.
familiar names on the gravestones?
Looking around at the gravestones, no names that you recognize. You also look specifically for the name Marina. You don't find that one there.
I don't think we would have found her because it seems like the place was flooded right after she died. So
Yeah.
It's more so just for corroborating the story.
right.
I
Yeah.
see.
You also don't see a gravestone with her name on it.
Well,
Well, guys, we checked out the
Let's go
church.
back.
we're
Yeah,
we're
let's,
gotta go follow the lesson.
take our new friends back to the wagon.
Come on. Spot.
Hey, there's 3 of us. We get to name 3 each.
Oh, yeah.
Aw.
I'm going to go Kevin, Harry, and Harv.
Oh.
Oh. Were you wanting to name them individually? Like, each one of you got a name, but you just didn't name them
No,
all?
because there's 9 goats. There's 3 of us.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, I can't think of any. What are you gonna name?
Bluebell, Buttercup, and Briar.
Oh,
Oh.
alliterative.
Triple B.
Yeah.
What you
Blossom!
I picked the cutest ones.
I named them all some weird thing in giant that equates to like 1, 2, and 3. But it just sounds fucking weird.
Number 1, number 2, number 3. Alright. So, making your way
That
back.
means friend.
You manage to avoid the scarecrows, find your way back to the road, basically due east from where you were, and eventually back up, past all the ruined homes, back to the wagon.
Nice.
Okay, great.
Oh, we should
Do we
check in
find-
with your girlfriend.
Well, she was staying in the. Well, I mean,
Just leave flush.
Muriel was staying in the.
Yeah,
wagon.
we should check in with her. She was really like keen
I
on
would
it.
have unlocked the wagon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
was
I would
having-
have been just
having
sitting on the.
Jump
Oh, yeah.
back to Allura. So you would have come back, you would have seen the wagon be locked and Muriel inside.
Yeah, I would have unlocked it and then just kind of hung out, sitting on the.
Are you alright here?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're good. We dispatched Baba,
Okay, thanks though.
Baba, whatever her name was.
You killed her.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really, really good.
Talk up the blue guy.
Kinda didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
Great.
There was-
I'll tell Dom.
There was many crows held captive.
Some of our scouts, I'm guessing.
We were able to rescue about 6 of them,
That's more than I expected.
but there were many that fell in the fight. I unlocked a cage and they attacked her.
I have no doubt they've been there for quite some time and probably a little angry at the bitch. Yeah. Well, I'll be on my way, I guess. And she turns herself into a raven and just flies off.
Could
So
Les
you would,
and I
you would
then-
wait inside the wagon for probably 5 minutes or so, 4 minutes, and then eventually you would hear some sloshy footsteps. And look
Someone
out and
getting
see-
I would have been like sitting on like the seats outside, leaning.
Okay.
Sitting and leaning?
So there's
like
there's
the
the step up into the back, and then the area where you would be driving the wagon.
That's what I'm
So,
saying.
okay,
Outside.
so you wouldn't actually, you would hear it, but you'd have to like lean over the edge and look over, and you would eventually see Les and Hope walking back.
Yeah.
Les
Yeah.
kind of in the lead, like indignantly huffing, as Hope is just kind of like disgruntled.
I like your gauntlet, but I don't want it to touch me anymore.
Well, Les, if you could behave for a minute, then
No,
maybe I
don't
wouldn't have to touch
behave
you.
for- Oh, it's Allura. Hey, Allura.
Oh,
Hey,
thank
guys.
God.
What? Why are you? What? Why? Where did you go?
She doesn't have to explain why, but we're here with you.
Thanks, Hope.
And yeah, we just do like nods.
Yeah.
No, never
It's
tells
like
me
you're
goddamn
fucking
anything.
goats coming
About
down the
another
road.
5
Leaning and nodding.
5 minutes or so, you start hearing them
And I'm turning to Doc, or I'm turning to Doc, and go, so wait, do you think Muriel likes me?
Kind of seems like it, buddy.
Oh man, what should I say?
Should we invite her to like ride back with us? You can hang out.
That'd be pretty cool.
We could do that. You want to do
I
that?
really talk to someone
You
like
make
that.
your way back, and you do see.
I'm really
Les,
happy
Hope,
to see her.
and Allura all there, and you as well see that Muriel is no longer there. But you come back with all 9 goats.
Oh yay!
It's a bit of a tight squeeze to get them into the back of the wagon, but
Oh, we're just gonna tie him behind the wagon.
carry them at horse riding speed.
Yeah, they're just gonna just carry.
They'll keep up.
It's like cans on the back of a just married
That's
vehicle.
literally what I was imagining. Just a series of goats getting-
I'll give up my place for the goats.
No, we're gonna make a big sled for the goats.
Oh, I like that idea.
No,
Wouldn't they
How are
just
we gonna
stand
do
on the
that?
roof
goats
of
on the
wagon?
roof?
They,
Goats on the roof.
Yeah, like
Feel like
famed
being
restaurant in
Alright.
Oh, that's a
Some
great
like
restaurant.
really big like mossy bits and like pad the top of the caravan.
Oh, they
How are they-
climb
Yeah, but
trees and mountains. Goats
You know what?
are
Let's just
hardy.
take him back in the thing. We can clean it
Yeah.
out later.
Yeah. They can't balance on the
Shit
top of the roof while the
everywhere.
wagon's in motion. What if something happens?
Damn it, Kevin. That's one of the goats.
Leaf, do you sound? You seem bothered. Are you bothered?
Or I am as I'm like looking under the like one of the seats. Oh, it's, where'd Muriel go?
Like, Leif doesn't have to tell you if he doesn't want to.
Did she? Did Muriel say where she was going? Because like Leaf really wanted to say bye.
I think she was going to tell Dom that.
Oh, go to the winery. We're going
Oh,
to the
so
winery.
we can meet up with her there.
Yeah.
That's true. Hey, Allura, did you get my message? I don't know if you knew it was me.
I left you a voicemail. Did you get it?
Yeah, that's a pretty cool trick. Is
Yeah.
that how you're able to talk to your grandma?
Yes. That is.
You should call your grandma.
I'm gonna call her again. It's been like 3 weeks.
Dear
Totally calling her.
I just met a girl.
She's gonna be the love of my life.
She's actually a crow.
But it's okay. We'll make it work. Love you. It's Leaf. Smiley face.
Okay.
Pack up and get going.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Last session was like super grimdark. This session we're like, it's a bit with goats.
It's a bit with goats.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, there's
So.
a title.
But yeah,
The
I'm.
goat episode.
Yeah, I'm a bit miffed at Leaf being miffed himself.
Oh, hey, don't. We can get back to Irina too if you want. We probably should check in on her
Actually,
after
I do
finding
think-
out all of this stuff.
So I don't think we should push her, but I think we should tell Irina what we found.
Yeah, because this is kind of some crazy shit that perhaps Velaki might not be ready for.
I think she should know, and if for what it's worth, you know, I may not feel as strongly about you as you about that. I've never really told you guys about this, but some people very close to me died because of the undead, and so I don't completely blame that man for doing what he thought would protect that girl's soul, but I think Irina is stronger than this Marina girl, whoever she was. Seems like maybe she learned in her past life, and we should give her the option to face what happened to her soul before.
I agree.
If she chooses not to take it, then that's her choice, but she should be fully informed.
Mm-hmm.
No problem with that.
Suits me fine.
All right.
Also, considering what happened to Perez, doesn't look like Velaki's pretty safe.
We knew it wasn't
we
safe.
knew.
But like extra unsafe. Like extra no we know.
It makes you wonder if Irina was open to Strahd's attentions, what exactly he would do to anyone who stood in his way.
Well, she was originally.
That's right,
But
she visited him.
Yeah.
And then she refused. Well,
Because surely he knows she's in Velaki now.
he certainly
Homeboy
knows.
knows everything.
He knows everything.
He
that happens
was
in his
in
land.
Velaki when we were there.
Yes.
Hey Strahd, picture this,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna hold up a middle finger out.
So,
He appears. Fuck!
No, I wasn't ready. I used most of my spells on dumb shit today.
I was taking a shit, guy. I was taking a big old vampire dookie.
Got a lot of iron in the system. It takes a while.
But
I was really backed up.
Like shitting on a nail.
I was making mud pie back here.
oh,
Started
that's
to
my
give me-
least
started to
favorite
give
way
me
to
bum
describe
tickle.
pooping ever.
Started to give me bum tickle.
Did I break you? I'm sorry.
Leaf leans out. Hey, does anyone have any rations of food?
Got too much mud pie speak.
You need some fiber in your diet.
Well, he must not have a lot of fiber. He's just all blood.
No, all he has is fiber.
Is there a villager that just like walks past this caravan as we're saying all
No.
these things?
You are on a desolate, lonely road.
There are definitively no villagers.
I will say as well, because you're still exiting the marsh, who is driving the caravan?
Oh, was it Hope
Hope.
and then...
Yeah.
I would have been.
And then you two are on the sides.
Yeah,
Okay.
also we didn't check the person's mariner's old home.
I think we don't need to.
I think we're probably
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, it was probably pretty damaged. There wasn't much else
Based
in
on
the
all of
church
the
either.
homes that you walked by, the area that he said where her home was, a complete ruin. I mean, you could
Okay.
potentially look through the marsh there
Oh, yeah.
and see if there was anything.
And Hope wasn't there.
At
but-
this point,
family sold.
having
Yeah.
heard that, you were all pretty set to leave.
And we would share with the
Okay.
rest of the group that like the church was totally destroyed too. There was really nothing
It was a
there.
wash.
But we
Um,
have these goats.
But we have goats.
So, animal handling at advantage, and then you two,
Oh,
strength checks
wow.
for me, please.
Yeah.
Boo ill.
That's not ideal.
It's an 18 for me.
Added.
No, not advantage.
Oh, damn it. That was the other one.
You can guidance yourself.
I did.
I did.
Can I have some guidance?
Oh,
12? No, because
You guidance
I'm
yourself
guiding
today?
myself.
Fine,
Yeah,
fine.
8.
8.
That's why it
You're
was.
starting to go out of the marsh, and less on your side. You're a pretty strong guy, and you're going at it, and then you kind of feel it start to slough a little bit off to your side of the road. You're like, oh, no worries, I got this, and you shunt it off to the other side of the road as Leaf really wasn't expecting that heavy of a push.
Runs
And
over my
Cinnamon
foot.
just
Oh,
kind of
fuck.
like fish tails, and the wagon goes off in the mud, and you get stuck in the mud on the right hand side at this point.
I'm sorry, I don't know my own strength.
I'm gonna be talking to the goats. It's like, hey guys, don't worry. It's gonna
Okay.
be okay.
Hold
With,
on.
with the shunt, a couple of them just kind of pull, just slam over into
We'll
the ground.
assume
again.
the same.
They're fainting
Fainting
goats.
goats.
They're fainting goats.
Will we assume the same removal technique as last time?
So
Yeah.
two of you outside, and you had advantage again. Go for it.
Where was that?
Okay.
18 again.
That's
24.
cocked.
Yo!
Okay, I'll re-roll this one, but.
It's also
That's
cocked.
super cocked.
Let's go.
Okay. 21.
21? Okay, good enough. So at this point, with a little bit of additional push and
I
you
don't
two
know
just
what's
kind of
going
lifting
on
up,
today.
you do manage to get the cart back on the path. No other issues befall you as you make your way out of Berez, eventually heading back north, coming to the crossroads over the Lunar River.
Roll on.
So are we going to the winery? Or are we
I
going
think we should go to the
you've
winery
got
first.
Velaki, you've got the long trip over to Kraisk. Once you're in Kraisk, then the winery is further south from there. Otherwise, you'd have to go to the winery and then backtrack to Kraisk. if you
Let's
wanted
go
to.
give them back the fishman sacrificing stuff.
I think the information for Irina can wait. Like I
I
think we should
agree.
do.
Yeah.
We can check back in at Velaki.
We also probably don't want to be holding this gem for too long.
I agree.
Yeah.
We want this to be somewhere where it'll be harder to take than from us.
And we can leave these fun goats in Kraisk where they'll take care of them. And
Aw.
they'll live long, happy lives.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
You took care of these goats.
Okay, so where were we?
Took care of 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
They're milk goats
Um,
only. Don't kill them. They're very
It is
cute.
given the amount of when you left to go down to Kraisk, to Berez, how long you were there, taking care of everything, taking a rest and everything, you would need to spend a night on the road,
Oh.
and before you were able to make it to Kraisk. Regardless, it's a 2-day journey to get there.
I see.
So
Would
it's
it
up to you guys.
be not on the end of the road if we went back to Velaki?
No, it would still be a 2-day journey because you'd be starting from a further east point and
Okay.
then having to make your way back.
Let's just start going then. We can keep watch.
Yeah.
And as they walked, they so rode. But as they rode, they kept
All right.
walking.
So, you make a fair bit of progress, but the fact of the goats taking up some of the extra space in the back of the wagon and a bunch of you having to be on foot, it's definitely an arduous journey. You're taking obviously the most direct path to get there, I'm guessing,
Oh, yeah.
not going by Venric's
Yeah.
tower or anything.
No.
No.
Alrighty. So, following along the road,
I guess we could go to the tower if we really wanted to.
Yeah, we could crash in the tower overnight.
Do we really want to do that whole thing with the door, though?
I mean, Les is a real good dancer, so
Yeah, that's the safest.
yeah, let's
spot.
do that.
It's up to you guys.
I'm open to it.
I mean,
You know that if you left fairly early from the tower, you'd be able to make it to Grace pretty much right before evening set in. So
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right.
You up for a dance, buddy?
I'm always up for a dance.
We're back at our waterfront castle.
Does everyone remember how this dance went?
Yes.
there was symbols on the.
Yeah.
There's symbols on the door.
symbols on the door, yeah. So looking at the door, you would eventually make your way there. No issues be following you on the road. It's a little bit on the rainier side today. Road getting a little bit wetter, a little muddy in certain places, but you eventually do make your way up to the tower.
All the goats are drunk.
Who's going to be the person making the movements?
Yeah, I feel like Les did it last time so good.
Okay, let's go and make a dexterity check for me, please.
Oh no.
You're within 10 feet of me, so you're gonna get an
Nope,
extra.
that's a saving throw.
Bollocks.
Bollocks. Big money, no man. Oh no.
Oh
Let's just
no!
get
Please don't
blasted
let us get
into
a
the water.
dragon. Because it'll summon a dragon.
It sure will. That's an 8.
That's an 8.
It only summons the dragon if you get a natural 1, I think, wasn't it?
You don't know.
We have no idea.
Well, we're going to then we can go to the werewolf hideout.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because we killed
I was
all
just
those
thinking
guys.
that maybe Esmeralda.
She's in. We don't know where she is.
Wait,
Yeah,
where was
I
that,
mean, but
that
what I'm saying
escaped
is maybe she's
werewolf
back-
that
she
like
may
betrayed
run
us
back
and
here.
ran off into the night? Did we ever find her?
Oh yeah, no, because she went and got the rest of them and then
Yeah, they
fucking
came.
We killed her.
Yeah, good.
Okay, Les.
Oh no.
Fuck.
You see the red metal on the door flash bright blue as one of the symbols that you see. You realize that the arms were in the opposite direction, and the metal flashes bright blue for a moment before you hear a heavy thud on the ground behind you, and then crackling of lightning in the air, and you turn, and there is a blue dragon there. I need all of you to roll initiative.
Oh!
Fuck.
Yeah.
The goats
Just
are safe,
wanted
right?
to go into
Goats
a
are inside
little
the wagon.
shower.
Goats are safe.
You do know from previous experience, I'll say that the wagon was parked off to the side and you were all kind of expecting. So the wagon isn't at risk of being destroyed, but yeah.
Oh my!
I thought you said you were good at dancing.
I said I was good at dancing, not remembering symbols. For
That's
fuck's
dancing.
sake!
So you know what? We can actually use these
Fantastic.
things.
Good times.
Oh, great.
Guys,
I put them all together. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. They actually click in. They don't.
They-
What's the size
They
of this
click in?
drink? Oh,
They go in between the posts,
God damn it.
that's actually a
so
really good
they're
question.
solidified. They don't go
Yeah,
around.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's way better.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
If
Just want to make sure that the posts don't break.
is there any way that we can
Don't break.
desummon this thing? Like maybe if Les does the
Does the dance right?
It's like
I
it's
can't
summoned, it's
help by
summoned, right?
taking
It's not like a
some-
magical. Because like I could dispel magic, but
I guess we don't know.
well, I'm gonna try and de-summon this shit. But
Yeah.
The only way I know how.
Okay. Well, this is actually large enough of a battlefield for the dragons, so we can actually use our new
If you
stuff.
give me some, I can take them.
Dragons?
Dragon.
Okay.
Singular.
dragon.
How big do you need to be for a dragon? You don't have one, right?
One.
No, I don't. It would
Try
be
and,
your Hulk mini.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's big.
Oh,
Oh no.
for fuck's sake.
Thank you.
Fuck. Ook.
Perfect.
We all just got there real tired. This dragon going, oh fuck.
Bollocks.
How many hit points does Les have?
Died to a dragon when we opted to go to this thing.
We rested overnight, so we would have gotten back all our hit points,
We
right?
didn't rest
No, we
overnight.
haven't
This is
rested
where
yet.
you went to rest
Oh,
overnight.
fuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
But hey guys, we managed to put old Baba Lasaga out of her misery. We
So,
can probably do it
Wait,
again.
do we have
Dragon
a
would have
dragon?
appeared behind you.
Why that?
Wow.
It's a 3x3. All of you there.
I don't have a dragon shape.
No, but the
Oh,
So
I see.
I need all of you to roll initiative for me, please.
We
She's
did.
done.
Cool. And let's go ahead and pop you guys in this area here.
So wait, where's the door?
Guys, this
Did the
is
dragon?
my first
You said the dragon
dragon.
appeared behind
This
Les.
is
Correct.
First
Behind you
dragon.
guys, about
Okay.
40
So
feet
the-
away from
so
the door.
the
So the edge
door-
of that. Here, we'll say. Just
So
make
wait,
it
the
easier.
door is
After all
here.
these
We'll say
dungeons,
here, this
we're
is the door.
finally getting a dragon.
Okay.
I think this is a
That's
win
where the
for
door is.
everyone.
See, I
Whoa.
love this stuff. It makes
Okay.
it so
Do
easy.
you think the
So-
this thing has a floating skull?
Wait, so I'm like right next to you.
Hey, Jordy.
Yes.
On the road, would that have counted as a short rest for spells?
I would say you would have had a short rest, so if you wanted to use hit point or hit dice to regain hit points, you would have been able to do so.
I just wanted my spell slots.
Yep, you would have that. lest you would have your maneuvers back.
Oh yes.
Would I have been able to attune to the gauntlet?
You would have. Any attunement items or anything like that, you would be able to do as
Because
well.
I'm just gonna dump all my high level spells in this thing.
Would you please?
So, you do see as well the dragon is present, but it is a little bit smaller than you would expect a dragon to be.
Is it a baby dragon?
It's not a baby dragon, but it is a young dragon.
Is it like a wyvern? Okay, no, it's
No,
not
it is a
dragon.
young blue dragon.
That's
So...
okay. They like money. Wait,
Quick, throw money at it.
Bribe it.
Alright, initiative rolls, please. And for me, ooh, that's good. Alrighty, initiative, 25 to 20.
21.
26.
20. Freaking...
I know. I have like +2 on my initiative, and then I also get like at advantage, so it's
you
really
got
good.
to see us go to the Ember Temple. That's
20 to
not
15?
happening.
15.
15? Okay.
Yep, Lester.
15 to 10?
One,
10 to 5?
I got 9.
9 for me.
Hey, I got a 9 too.
Hey, dice buddies.
Leaf less, and nope.
I rolled a 1, so
Okay.
I got 3.
Ready. Top of the round, Alith, you see Les kind of like looking at his arm position, realizing that he fucked it up, and then hear the turn around, and you instinctively turn and you see a young blue dragon before you, wings unfurling and mouth agape. What are you doing?
I'm gonna run over to the door and I'm gonna try to do the dance correctly.
Okay, go make a dexterity check for me.
Nice.
That makes sense. Oh, wait,
Straight dexterity?
Straight
Wait,
dexterity,
what if it summons 2?
Well,
There's only one way
You
to
said
find
you're doing
out.
it.
then we'll
That's
have
what
an
you're
extra dragon, so we
Go
have
ahead and do
dragons.
That's true, and they'll be friends.
Oh god. Well, that's fine.
Think.
Oh my god, the tension.
Ooh. 10.
10?
Yeah.
You go next to the door, you perform the same movements, and in the same place you think you've got the right movement, but it's reversed, and you kind of turn around half expecting another dragon to show up. And nothing does.
Okay, good.
BB.
I'm guessing that was my action.
That is your action to do that, yes.
Okay. I'm going to move further, just over a little bit farther back.
Yep.
And I'm going to cast Hunter's Mark on the dragon as my bonus action.
Bonus action, Hunter's Mark. Dragon is marked. Alrighty, on from there we come to the doctor.
Cool. I'm gonna do something startlingly similar.
Okay.
I'm gonna jet over here.
Yep.
And try and do the thing.
Go for it. Make a dexterity check for me.
Please, Doc.
Okay, there we go. 21.
21. You correctly make the movements, and you kind of hear Alith going, "Don't screw up on this one," as she runs away. And you kind of go up and you see the one where everybody's made the mistake, and you make the correct movement. As soon as you do, the door opens and the dragon vanishes.
Oh, thank God.
God.
I'm gonna look at Les and be all like, "That's how you dance."
Don't. Yeah, I never
my
said I was good at
God.
dancing. That was just the last minute. Troy. Nice job, Doctor.
You're welcome.
I mean, I'm a
Dancing
drinking-
champion of Valaki.
Oh shit.
Damn, I really wanted the map to freak you guys out to the point of like, shit, we gotta fight a dragon!
Yeah, I was about to dump fucking banishment into that thing.
Oh, I had 2
Whoa.
fireballs ready to go.
Yeah, I mean,
I was.
I was gonna poke
cool.
it with my stick.
yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna-
Wow.
that's
Make
a,
sure the
that's a
ghost-
decent amount of
essentially-
lightning damage. It was going next, by the way. So.
Oh.
They rolled a natural 18 plus 2, so 20 versus 21 made a difference. So
Let's make sure the goats
but
are okay and get them
the
inside.
door opens, the electrical trap on the door disarms successfully. You push your way inside, you find things exactly as you had left them the last time that you were here. Able to lie down cots and bedrolls, spend the evening if you so choose.
Can we bring the goats and Marigold in with us?
You can. You do remember as well that inside there is no magical ability.
Yeah.
So any kind of healing
Yeah, well-
magic will not work either.
Yeah, because Cinnamon can't fit in. Can Marigold fit in?
Cinnamon, as well as being a conjured animal, probably best not to get them within an anti-magic field.
I think they're also like a warhorse, and
They are.
Marigold
You
is
will not
a
be able
small
to
horse.
fit through a 5 foot door.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
Leaf has to turn sideways.
Yeah. You kind of have to hunch a little and like shoulders sideways in. But you are all able to get inside. It is fairly early afternoon, so you're kind of killing the better part of the afternoon. But no
Well,
incidents.
Yeah. Can I be like,
Go fishing.
yo, look
Yeah,
at
or
this
go hunting.
sick gauntlet. Does anyone want any information on this?
Oh yeah, Hope, how does that work?
I mean, I already know because I put it in the book.
No. Yeah.
But tell me again, because you
Tell
don't
me
actually.
again.
It's
Tell us
kind of
about it.
I will read exactly what the card says because I can't
I will say as well, this is 100% homebrew. I love this item. It's like my pride and joy of the magic items I've created.
Aw.
So while wearing this gauntlet, you may use a free action to depress the rose insignia on the palm, causing thorn-like needles to pierce your hand. These needles deal 2d8 piercing damage that ignores all resistances and immunities. Once pierced, the gauntlet uses your sacrifice to empower your next 2 instantaneous spells. Spells empowered in this manner add an additional 2 matching dice to the regular rolls for the spell's effect, i.e. 1d4 becomes 3d4, 4d6 becomes 6d6. Once used, the gauntlet cannot be used in this way again until the next dawn.
Whoa.
That's
Look,
cool.
and it's free actions. That's not even bonus action. It's just like you click that and it's...
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's designed to be essentially the same as pulling out a holy symbol. You just go and it depresses the symbol. You do take the damage,
So you
but
can dump that into like a anime style smite.
Yeah, like it would
that'd be sick.
really.
so it's the way that like it's designed for me is in our last campaign we didn't have a paladin when they got this item, we had a cleric. So 50-50, it was either like blinding or what's it called?
Sacred Flame.
Sacred Flame, 1d8 becomes 3d8 radiant damage, or Mass Cure Wounds, 3d8 becomes 5d8 worth of healing, that kind of thing,
That'd be
right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different ways to use it. It affects both healing spells and other things, but it has to be instantaneous, so you can't use like concentration spells. You couldn't do this on a branding smite, but you could do it on just
Divine
regular,
Smite.
on Divine Smite, exactly.
Yeah, also what's really cool
Actually,
is
no,
that-
sorry, you couldn't do it on Divine Smite either, because Divine Smite is not a spell. You're using a spell slot to
but to
cast
do
that.
it, but it's not a
But
spell.
it's not actually a spell.
Okay. Also, I really like how the description of it is a polished silver gauntlet made for the right hand. This piece of armor has a metal rose insignia inlaid into the palm. When the wearer presses the insignia, it blossoms in color, changing from radiant silver to a dark, glistening crimson.
Ooh,
With blood.
Jordy. Damn.
The rose.
I just thought it was a reference to the Bette Midler song with the same name.
Or a Seal song, the same
Cool.
name.
So
we're just chilling
it's
Or like
Rose
it's bite is a
Pop.
kiss from a rose, or a kiss
Can
from a
that
rose.
play every time you use it?
Okay, guys, we're singing that song in my pop rock choir right now, and we're gonna have a final concert if you all want to come watch Kiss from a Rose being performed by
Yeah.
a giant choral group. Just saying.
Oh.
Alrighty.
Anyway,
You were in a choral
well-
group when you were underwater, right?
That's a different kind of.
Wordplay. Actually, you know what? I'll give you a d6 of inspiration for that.
Yeah!
That's the first time
That's-
anyone.
That is the first time that has happened.
Jordy, I'm
that
so
actually
sorry,
made
that's
me
what-
so happy that I was just like, you know what? Because that played off another character. It was in game. That's a d6 of inspiration.
Jordy, I
I'm
appreciate
with
it.
that.
I'm gonna fucking need it.
So that does only last until the end of this session, though. It doesn't carry over, so.
Bring back that fucking dragon. There. Get it on.
But for the remainder of the afternoon, swapping stories of what the new items do. Doctor pulling out the pipes, explaining the situation.
I'd probably go hunting and see if I
Yeah.
could find something for us for dinner.
Easy enough to do. The lake right beside. Less you can easily dive into the lake, find a few fish.
I sure do.
I'm gonna
Last
take some
time that
time to
ended
study
bad.
the pipes.
Keeping in mind last time what happened with the marrow, you don't go quite as deep and you're not quite as frolicky.
No.
But you do manage to find quite a few fairly substantial fish
Hey.
nearest to the surface.
Real quick, Les, while you're down there, do you maybe want to take a look and see if like anything that, like the time or the water has kind of made anything more clear from when we blew up that thing?
That's a totally different area.
Oh heck, well
Yeah.
I tried.
By the way, this is.
Alright, and then also I'm like, Leaf, what's going on with this person?
Well, I'm not really used to like people, being interested in me. I mean, I didn't really get out a lot. So, and, like the whole
I
time,
love Amanda just,
I'm just like,
like so ready to spill the tea.
I'm like staring because we just have the goats out, right? So I'll just say I was like talking to the goats before. I'm not really used to like people wanting me to like help them out or like carry them and stuff. So it was just a little different for me, and it just felt really cool.
She's India, buddy.
Where?
It's a rig on your shoulder speaking with my voice.
Who would be completely visible because no magic.
That's fine.
Yes. I don't know. It's just new feelings. That's all.
New feelings.
Yeah, how are you doing, Hope?
I don't want to talk about it.
Aww.
So,
I won't make an insight check. I'm smart enough not to insight check.
all good.
Yeah,
As
and
the- as-
then I kind of go off in a bit of a huff. I don't want to sleep next to Leaf this night.
Well,
Oh,
as
you were
the
into Leaf?
afternoon progresses.
Oh shit!
Les coming back with a fairly decent amount of fish.
I got all the fish.
Being used to being underwater and being at the same speed as the fish and smarter than them, not much of an issue for you. At least just go and make a
smarter than
survival check for me. Elite,
How hard is that?
survival check, please.
Yes, sorry, I was.
Thank you.
I got distracted by Lee.
Smarter than fish.
saying
Smarter
silly
than
things.
fish. Fishy fish, fish
survival.
are not smarter than me.
Can I insight check him?
20 unnatural.
Unnatural.
Yeah.
Not much of difficulty for you either.
Yeah.
You see Les kind of frolicking, tossing a couple of fish up onto the land.
But not frolicking too much.
Just
Not
catching
much.
them with his mouth.
Fish. I am
And
fish.
you, not wanting to be
Fish.
upstage, find a fairly substantial cluster of rabbits. Get about 2 or 3 of those arrows in before eventually finding a very nice, fairly young elk. And you'd be able to spear that quite easily as well.
Yeah.
Eventually bringing back substantial food that you would be able to cook up for the evening, even so much as have leftovers the next day.
Was it mauled in my fish?
It's fairly even.
Nice.
Your fish, there's more of them, but they're a lot smaller. At least
Alright.
bringing back a full-size elk.
I
is
feel
very
I
well.
feel dress
And
the
rabbits.
elk and rabbits and just bring
pretty
them back like over my shoulder like a badass.
Can I take the time to study music theory?
Every
Oh
good.
my god.
No, because
Already
there's nowhere
One
to study
Direction.
it.
I don't know. Maybe Rick knows about playing pipes.
But
I think at least one of our party knows about playing pipes.
the rest of you sleeping for the evening after a long day.
Yes.
Long, intense battle, a last-second scare outside of the tower, thinking that...
Wandered out his pants.
We will say as well here, this will be a level.
Yeah.
So this will be level 9. We're not going to do it right now.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
just so everybody's aware, at the end of this session, we will do a level up. And that will have taken effect from this point. So important thing here would be, especially for you, Leaf, you get 5th level spell now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get a 3rd level
I
spell
think I
too.
get some new.
So yeah, so there is some stuff. Don't worry about hit points or anything like
We'll do
that.
that all later.
We'll do it all
Oh
later.
shit, I get my next Eldritch
I
Invocation.
don't think there's going to be enough stuff that happens between now and then to make it worth it.
Yeah.
But
that's
there
fine.
is quite a few important things here.
Level 9, right?
It is level 9.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
As sleep takes all of you, less.
Oh, what?
For what it's worth, I think we would be setting a watch still. I don't think we would all.
Yeah,
go to
unless
sleep.
we
Yeah.
have your sword as well.
My bow.
Yo,
Less, what watch would you be taking?
Which watch?
Yes.
Like,
I would-
You're doing watches over the course of the evening.
I would probably take the first one because I'm not really injured and I don't need a lot of sleep.
I'll
So
take the 3rd.
Third?
I'll
The
take
last.
Second. So there'd be 4 watches, so unless you take last watch.
Yeah.
I said last. Did I
Oh,
say
you said,
last?
oh, you said 3rd and then you said last, so which
Yeah.
one?
Well, whatever. What do
It's
you
up
want?
to you.
Less?
I don't know. This is really important.
Well,
for you. Just
okay,
take
it would
whatever
actually
No, I
be
don't
Doctor,
care.
who do you wake up?
Oh. I'll wake Allura because I don't want to touch less.
Oh.
Alright, so Allura, that
you.
opens
Like,
up the
ring
3rd
the
watch.
fish?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Still
More
very
than
nice.
usual.
Okay.
You eventually pass by. Nothing transpires. No visits from Strahd this time.
Good.
That's good.
You do eventually come to your final watch. Allura, you go to wake Les up. And you feel, when you go to wake him, that his skin is a little bit rougher than what you're used to. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe the swimming in the lake, he hasn't done that in quite some time. But you wake him up. And when he wakes, you see that his eyes are a slight shimmering silver color. Again, a little bit different from what you're used to seeing. And he feels a little bit cold to the touch. Nothing really different from what you're used to, but it's not quite the same as what he's been before. But regardless, he wakes up full of consciousness, everything, all of his faculties, same speech as normal, and you eventually turn in for the evening. Les, as you're sitting up, you're used to being able to see things from a sheerly objective perspective. Looking at the areas around you, seeing potential threats, ways out, things like that. You're starting to notice a little bit more, some kind of shimmering in the something that you weren't able to see before. You can almost see cold air currents swimming across your vision. You're not entirely sure what it is, but it feels different. You feel you're used to being fairly cold, and the water fairly cold. Even the day before, you were a little bit chilled, but going to bed, sleeping, you actually found yourself having to pull the blankets off. It was too warm. You couldn't bear to be at that temperature. And even awake now, dead of morning, it's very warm. You can feel almost like sun radiating off your skin, even though you are in pitch black. You're not quite sure what it is, but something feels different. Your watch passes without incident. You awake everybody the following morning, sunlight outside, eventually getting back on the road. But there's just something a little odd that's staying with you, and you're not quite sure what it is.
It's okay.
Do any of us notice anything different in this?
Not particularly. The only person who really did was Allure. When you touched him to wake him up, you just felt him just a little bit colder to the touch, and his scales were maybe a little rougher than what you're used to. That was about it. Outside of that, the rest of you awake the following morning. Leftover fish, meat, all dried out and able to still be eaten as early morning rations.
And we regain hit dice too, right?
You do. So you regain half of your used hit dice rounded up. So if you've used 5, you regain 3.
I didn't use any last time, but I was still down from the Argenvostold. So I'm all back up now.
Perfect. Everybody is having attuned to the items over the course of the journey. Setting out fairly early, you're able to make it through most of the day. Late afternoon, having to walk beside the wagon since the goats are still riding inside.
Yeah.
You do eventually pull into Kresk, and when you do, the village gates open up without warning, seemingly recognizing the group, the caravan, the fact that you've been in and out of the area several times at this point. You get some fairly welcoming smiles from everybody inside the village. Within a few minutes, the burgomaster is summoned and brought before you. Yes, what can I do for all of you? It is good to see all of you again.
It's good to see us as well. We're passing through, but we did liberate these goats from somebody who wasn't a very generous caretaker.
They're milking goats.
They're milking goats.
He kind of sees them, the 9 file out from behind him. Well, these are all males, so I'm not sure how they would be milking goats, but...
Well,
Oh
let's...
no, we milked one the other
Oh man! Let's drink goat milk! Oh! That's why he's so weird!
It's cool. We went there.
Yeah, it just briefly turned into an 80s frat house comedy.
Wow.
I knew that. Well, I don't know ghosts.
I feel like
very
I
well,
would
but
have.
I
I
knew
would
that
have
was
known
a-
how to sex the goats and know what they were.
Oh yeah, you would have, but it was
Okay.
more so the comment of like,
Yeah.
offhand, yeah, they're milking goats. And he's like, no, they're not. Okay.
Okay.
Any goat.
Look, I'm a
Anyway.
city doctor, not a goat doctor.
We thought we would contribute them to your village, seeing as you've been so generous to, help us along.
This is a very generous gift. It is something that we will not overlook. Not only the fact that they will be able to be used to father many children,
Actual milking goats.
but they will actually be able to be used as well for the meats, for tending fields. This is an incredibly generous gift.
Well, you're very welcome. You've been very kind to harbor us. I know at first we were strangers, and just taking the children that we brought to you.
Well, of course, and of course, your friend. I assume you're here to take him.
Here to pick up a little.
Yeah, we'll pick up
he
old
is
Cassie.
willing to come.
He's adapted quite well.
Oh, is he like thick as?
You kind of look around, and you've been gone for a couple of weeks at this point.
Uh-huh.
You haven't really seen him in quite some time. And he comes around, he looks very similar, but there's a little bit more of a glow to his skin. Like, you can definitely tell he's gotten some color back in. He's not as malnourished as he was. He actually is smiling. He's looking quite happy.
He's sitting
for
by
someone
the gate
who
every day.
was having to take care of people who basically lived every day in anguish to suddenly being a part of a community and being able to assist and actually show off some of the knowledge that he's learned over several hundred years and showing them potentially better ways of tending crops and specific things that can be useful in terms of carrying water and finding ways of drying meat so that they last longer. A lot of people seem to be regaling him with a fair amount of reverence. and kind of appreciating everything he's done, and he gets quite a few smiles and nods.
Aww.
While we're kind of like walking with him and we're just going through this pathway, can I kind of like sort of non-discreetly kind of whisper to him just to ask him if I was like, this might seem like a weird request, but are there any medics of any kind in the area?
You say this to the burgomaster?
Yeah.
We have a general medicinal person, someone who can tend to small wounds and cuts and things. Is that something you would need?
I would like to get a second opinion about the condition.
It could certainly be arranged. I'm not sure our person will be of much more assistance than the ones that you have embarked on your journey with, but I mean,
Leaf and I are going to wait.
any opinion is a good opinion.
I don't want to burden them with whatever this might be.
Well, it is getting in on the evening. Will you be spending the night in the village?
I believe we are.
What time of the day is it?
It's getting in fairly late afternoon, early
So we
evening.
probably wouldn't,
we're gonna
we wouldn't
crash
be able to
here.
get to the winery by the end of the night.
You'd be able to get to the winery by the end of the night. It's not that far. It's only like 2 or 3 hours.
Okay, so I think we probably just keep going then.
Yeah, we'll pick
Kind
up
of
our
up to you
boys.
if you wanted to.
I don't mind crashing here.
I think we do that then if we're there tomorrow. If we can get the winery done now, then we can.
Yeah, and that way Cassie can say goodbye to all his new friends.
That's true. Alright, yeah, we'd
Yeah.
probably stay overnight
Spend the evening here.
if you'll have us.
Okay. So there would be one point, probably before dinner, while things were getting prepared, you would be able to duck out, and the burgomaster would be able to escort you to someone who definitely is a very rudimentary medic of some kind.
Asking
able
level
to
1 cure wounds.
basically identify
Lab.
rashes and things like that.
Would you have any knowledge of just weird occurrences that happen in this town?
In the town and the village, potentially.
This whole sort of haunted country we're in.
Plane
Would
of
they know
existence.
this plane of existence, that they would know if any weird sort of ailments would have happened?
There are quite a few weird ailments that have happened over the course of written medicine. You see them pull out a series of books, pour through. You're showing them something.
I'm like, I wanted to like vaguely describe to them what I've been feeling over the last couple of nights with these cold sweats and this, looking outside and seeing a shimmering.
Yeah, it's really just been within the last day or two.
Yeah.
Definitely within the last night that you really felt it when you took watch. Because you didn't take watch when you were in Balaki, so
Yeah.
you slept fairly soundly through the night. But when you woke up first thing in the morning, that was really when you noticed it. Looking through the books, better part of 20 minutes, half an hour. Nothing really matching the symptoms that you're describing aside from a simple fever. Slight hallucinations, being able to see things in the air that aren't there, slightly warmer temperature than you used to, feeling like you're constantly overheating. That would be about the only thing.
This is in my head. I'm thinking that this is the longest I've ever been outside the plane of water from the kingdom and everything. So I'm not sure if this is just like, am I away from that too long? Am I gonna get sick? Am I gonna die?
I mean, potentially that's the fact that yesterday was the first time that you had really fully engulfed yourself in water and gone for an elongated swim in quite some time. Maybe something to do with that. You're not quite sure.
Okay.
Whatever it is, it's not quite settling you. Your mind is definitely wondering what's going on.
Okay.
Doctor and I are talking about medical stuff unrelated to this.
Yeah.
Sure. So does
Okay.
it burn when you pee? No. But yeah,
Always
so
wondered what that
Alright.
the
was.
second opinion doesn't really put you in any specific better place, but it at least, as best you can tell, doesn't seem to be anything recorded in the lands of Barovia that you
Okay.
seem to be afflicted with.
Okay.
So, turning in for the evening?
Yeah, I think at some point during the night, I would try to
Yes.
find a chance to tell Casimir that we rescued Savid from Argynvostholt and that we sent him back to the camp.
You didn't manage to find Savid.
He'd made a stand in Argynvostholt, but
Made a stand. He was at best a scout, someone who would go out and try to find things that were lost in the forest.
he made a nest in Argynvostholt and managed to barricade the doors.
That seems
I was
more
being
like the
generous.
Savid.
Oh, sweet.
He I will say he, given his age, was one of the first to run at the sign of trouble. So it would make sense for
That
him.
doesn't
Seemed a
surprise me
coward.
at all. But he is safe. We sent him back to the Vistani camp and back on his way.
He's back with the brothers.
And we
Okay.
asked them to quietly give word to your brethren that you were safe as well.
Thank you for this. I did not expect that you would do this. I mean, finding another Dusk Elf anywhere in this land is quite rare. I am definitely glad that we encountered each other before you found him, because I'm sure that would have been quite a shock for you, having no understanding of what our people were.
It's true, I wasn't expecting to see anyone who looked like me here either. This land is kind of white bread, as I'm sure you've noticed, but
It's a little human for my nature, but I do understand.
they're not so bad when you get to know them individually, but as a pack it's a little...
I will say, some are definitely better than others, and you see, kind of looks around the room at everybody, and
Yeah.
there's quite a few smiles from him to others, and from them to him.
You seem to be
A
fitting
couple
in-
of kids
fitting
kind
in
of running
very
up
well
and
here.
like getting him to quickly craft some items and just do some quick
This is cute.
essentially creating like straw origami style things, and he
Alright.
just rapidly does a couple things and give them to
Are
kids.
we going from here to the Amber
Winery.
Temple?
Yeah. The
We're gonna
winery
be
first.
going,
Yeah.
Winery
Winery
first, then
then.
the Amber
Winery's
Temple?
kind of on the way. It's like a half
Yeah,
hour jump
yeah.
off the path.
Casimir, you seem to be getting on really well with these people. Do you think there's maybe a place for you and the rest of the Dusk Elf here if we could get you away from the Vistani?
And anything is possible. The issue that I would have, of course, is for one person coming in here, it is not that bad. It does not place too much of a strain on their food sources and their way of life. But for the number of the Dusk Elves remaining, at best we would be a camp outside of their walls. They would not be able to have room for all of us.
You don't think that the rest of the Dusk Elves could contribute in a way that makes it a worthwhile?
They could, but it's more so when you try to fit too many people in too small an area.
Yeah.
Crops die off, food is eaten too quickly. It is the way of the world.
That's
We
fair.
would be able to forage as best we could, but I don't believe it is something where we could survive inside these walls as we did with the Vistani. We would not be able to survive within the walls of Alaki, but outside of those walls, it is possible.
Well, I hope we can improve things. Or at least, possibly attain all of our goals, and then you can go back home as well.
I will say, as much as I have fit in here and contributed to them, and they have definitely helped me remember what it is like to be a better person. My quest remains the same. Our deal is still intact.
It is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Do you know when you'll be heading to the temple?
We're stopping off at the winery to touch base with the people there, and then heading to the temple tomorrow. So,
Tomorrow.
yes.
All right. I shall make some arrangements. All right. Do you need anything from me before we depart? Rations, any kind of equipment or anything? It is not much, but I can at least get you some fairly rudimentary things.
I mean, do we need rations?
Probably. I mean,
Rations would probably be helpful, or oil, if you can arrange that.
Torches. You have
Torches.
Torches. I
But,
can arrange torches. Oil may be a little bit on the more difficult side.
All right, that's fine. That's more of a...
rations, torches. Those are entirely doable.
Maybe some more rope.
Rope,
yes.
of course. Hempen rope in abundant supply.
yeah, boy.
Oh,
And then,
yeah.
Other than that, just make your good boys as much as you can, and we may not come back here on the way back. Who knows?
I'll make them longer than I normally would.
It's good to hear.
Be safe this evening. I will see you in the morning.
You as well.
And he departs.
Yeah, Jordy.
Can I insight check Casimir? Was there anything in particular that he seemed like he wanted to go do?
Sure, go
Does
for
he
it.
have a secret romance?
Dang.
Always
Muriel!
I'm just curious.
Dating
wanna know.
sim. Dating
I mean, he'd be
sim.
dating an NPC, so it wouldn't really matter. But I'm just, as a fellow elf, I'm curious. But that was a nat 1, so I only got 9.
Only 9.
Yeah.
hard to tell.
Hard to tell.
He's really happy.
Aww.
You're kind of almost overcome with how much happiness he has. That's pretty much all you can see in him.
Elise feels a big pang of guilt for having to take him away, but she knows that,
Sorry, super quick. Do you have a portable charger? My
I have one.
speaker died.
no.
I need a micro USB.
All I was going to ask was if
bittersweet.
there's... So we're about to fuck this guy's life up. Is there anybody in town that could perhaps be playing a set of pan flute pipes that I could pay attention to? Maybe learn something?
No, I need. So how do you charge this thing?
Take that as a
Yeah,
yes.
it's got to charge it.
Oh, I've got a wire
playing,
for Android.
Yeah, I can use that. If you have it. Sorry, yeah, I just realized my speaker died. I'll need the battery pack, but I just need a cable for it.
Alright, let me bring you the cable.
I don't think that cable will go from that. I don't think it'll charge from the charging port.
No.
Oh, there's one there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that the cable you use to charge this can
So-
also be used to charge.
That makes
You're
sense. Yeah.
not gonna say anything to us.
I haven't made up my mind yet.
Alright, because if you're
I
going
am
to
literally a doctor.
do it when I have
will-
time to cast spells, like tonight I can
It's on-
cast
it's on
a
the
5th
business
level
card.
spell.
So,
Greater restoration.
was Les the one who was in the blast of the dragon statue at Argenvostold? The cold blast?
I mean, hey, you
Was
stole
it you or
all the,
Hope?
You stole all the fucking gold. That's what this is from.
Yeah.
This is the longest con, and I'm in for it, Jordy.
I'm into it.
So,
That's what you get for
Man,
fucking with Mother
that
Night.
will be.
You just better not be. The thing I'm worried is that you're pulling another one. Not another one, but for all our loyal fans that watched us back in episode 1, Kevin wasn't always Les Paul. I swear to God, if you're pulling another one of these, that's what I'm worried
So,
about.
what a dream. He comes back as fucking Giles Vanderhoof or whatever his name was.
Yeah,
sure.
then someone will be able to use
Your
those
battery
pipes.
Huh?
It's me,
Battery
once I
pack is
learned.
It's dead.
yeah,
Oh.
I will grab mine.
thanks. Sorry.
You're like, do you know something that blows
Normally-
Taking a break in
That's just like-
gameplay for
Yeah.
technical difficulties.
Unfortunately, we want our
Take
music to
time.
be really good quality and not my shitty laptop speakers. Good quality.
Shit, are we gonna make Amber? That's fuck. I've been like, since we left the
I need to
Ember
use something
Temple,
too.
I've been like,
I know, we gotta strategize, y'all.
oh my god, yeah.
All those flashbacks of awful things.
That was our that's been our Vietnam. Like,
Flaming skulls.
Yeah. Well, we're taking a little bit of a break for. Yay, battery. Thank you.
Yeah, I might
Fully
also
charged.
line up to pee.
Alright.
do we just want to vamp for a bit? Hey,
We
we
can-
can
we
we
can
can
chat.
do our camp stories. So we're all sitting around. So we're gonna head up to the Ember Temple tomorrow.
Looks like it. One of the final stops in this
What did-
fucking place.
What did we learn from last attempt at the attempt
Should we just
Attempt.
trade places for a little while?
at the Amber Temple?
We
I know things.
So we were attacked by those.
It is I, Hope.
Alright, I cast Disguise
I
Self
am
and I
the
turn.
doctor. They're good.
I don't know if you know this, but your impressions are very bad.
I
They're not very good.
Alright, here we go.
Hello, I'm Les Paul, I am.
That's really good.
I like to clean a chimney, I do.
What's the chimney?
I'm Les Paul. I put stuff in my butt.
I like it too. It's me favourite thing in the
Whoa,
world.
hold on. Yeah, yours was good, but I don't like this one. This is not a good impression of
There's
me.
no judgment for putting things up your butt and liking it.
Hey, I'm Les Paul. You see this breadstick? Here it goes.
And you're eating it!
That's what I do. I'm Les Paul.
I'm Les Paul. Guess where I stored that
I'm Les Paul. I'm a triton. I'm like a fish or something.
Hey, you don't talk badly about Detroit.
I'm Les Paul. I like to use my prison wall.
I like making walls of water.
Oh, we're doing bits right now. Alright, I cast Disguise Self and I go,
Jesse.
hey, I'm one of the members of the Triton race.
Hello, we're all tritons now.
gonna be Leaf.
Oh, yeah, alright.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Well, I don't know what's going on with my speaker, but it's not charging.
Just leave it, it's fine.
We'll just play the music through my laptop. So,
No, everyone's
okay.
paid as everybody else.
We've all put
The
on.
two people who didn't switch.
It's a trio.
I like what I do.
That's
apparently put things up me bum.
apparently.
That's why I wear a skirt everywhere.
Easy access.
So, turning in for the evening in the village of Krisk, Casimir vanishes for the evening. All of you find relatively nice accommodations for the night. Cots, bedrolls, pillows. Definitely nice to get in and again be inside a regular dwelling. Less sleep is tough for you.
So before I go to sleep,
Yeah.
I'm going because is everyone in separate rooms?
No, you're all kind of in a same joint area.
It would be in the Burgomaster's house again, probably.
Yeah, you'd be in the Burgomaster's
Didn't we
house.
get our own house?
Yeah,
No,
You
not
didn't.
Kresk.
Oh.
No,
You
not in
get a
Greece.
townhouse? Okay.
You were kind of stuffed into the
village
Burgomaster's
house.
mansion in the main dining
Yeah.
living area. Essentially, all the couches were pushed off to the sides.
Nice.
Your bedrolls were able to lay down. You're kind of sleeping like feet to head, head to feet kind of thing.
So would I be able to kind of like poke one of them without the others knowing?
Depends on who you poke.
This got weird all of a sudden.
Just a second of lotus silence after Jordy said that. We were like, ugh.
Oh, bless Paul, I want to poke everyone I do.
Right. Hold
I
on.
got 10 fingers.
So stop making me laugh for a second. I want to go over and sort of nudge the doctor
Okay.
and just kind of like, "Psst, hey, you sleep?
What?
Can I was curious about your patron.
What about him?
Her.
I'm aware. I was using a
Okay.
gender neutral pronoun because it's not important that he know.
Fair point. Fair point. Fair play.
This patron of yours, do they... And I'm switching around again.
Every
Fuck's
time.
sake!
I'm up now. What's up?
Move.
What's happening? Elise doesn't
what
sleep.
is
She
your-
just meditates.
What is your relationship with your patron? Can you talk to him, her?
I'm certain if I needed to, I could get messages through and communicate.
Do they know about this place?
Oh, I see. I thought you were going to.
Oh fuck!
Oh, the whispers!
It was just perfect timing.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
I think she would, but I also don't know for certain.
If I...
That was more to Jordy, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want confirmation.
Barovia is not of the prime material plane.
Okay, so yeah, no, probably not then.
The pact that you've made, communication is possible.
Yeah.
But all of the communication that you've done to this point has been initiated on their side.
Yeah.
While you were on the prime material plane.
Yeah.
You haven't received no communication on this side, but you still have your abilities.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something there, but maybe some kind of either distance or time dilation, you're not sure. Whatever it is, it's been longer, and you kind of like thinking back, you realize that it's been longer since you've gotten to Barovia than any period in time prior where you communicated with your patron.
Okay.
So leads you as the arcane person and intelligent person that you are to think that there may be some kind of either interference in some way or some kind of time dilation that you just aren't aware of.
I see. It's kind of like a radio, Les. You know those kind of crackles sometimes when you.
You mean the talky things that come out of boxes?
That's the guy.
Alright.
Like one of them talkie boxes, but can't quite get through.
Alright.
What troubles you?
I don't know. I haven't been feeling like myself lately.
Not enough stabbing? You want to do more stabbing?
I've done plenty of that lately, my friend.
Maybe it's too much stabbing.
Possible. I don't know what effect this land has on certain people, races.
I haven't been back to my homeworld in a very long time. I don't know if there could be some sickness that rides this weird plane of existence. I'm not sure. I was hoping that maybe your patron could help with that, but
Could help with checking you for if you're okay.
well, just seeing if there's any terrible afflictions that happen within this land for people, different races. If the dead somehow affect your consciousness or body or mind after a while of being here.
Okay. Jordy.
Yep.
Being as how I have had experiences with spirits moving through me, like we had at the Abbey.
Yep.
And given arcane knowledge, intelligence, that kind of thing, and connection to the darker side of magic, let's say, any of this ringing any bells? Would I know anything about the way afflictions
In
are?
your experience, no.
Okay.
The knowledge that you have on the topic is very much related to a direct connection.
Yep.
An individual, a barter, a deal of some kind, clear communication. There wasn't really symbolism or minor nudges or pushes or kind of things at the edge of your periphery. It was all very much more direct.
Okay.
It's something in theory might be a little bit closer to Leaf or to Hope, but even in the discussions that you've had with either of them, again, there's a figure, a clear vision that you see. For Les, this doesn't feel quite the same. It's a little more fluid.
Do you want me to take a quick look at you before we go to bed? Make sure you're going okay.
I mean, it couldn't help. It could help.
There you go. Thank you.
That's what I meant. Couldn't hurt is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a look?
Yeah.
Go ahead and make a medicine check for me.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's all right. 18.
18. You do a fairly full physical. You've had no experience with Tritons in a medical sense, aside from the little bits here and there where you've kind of seen Les get hurt. And looking over the body, prodding here, poking there, getting an idea of how physiology works. In the interactions that you've had with Les in the past, he's definitely colder to the touch than you've seen before, but he's complaining of being warm.
Okay. I would like to make note of all of this in my journal.
Not much different from most flu-like symptoms you've seen.
No.
Right?
Okay.
It's kind of same to that. The appearance of strange, best description that he can have for it is it almost comes across like blurry lines, kind of visages of things in the air. Again, very similar to flu, some kind of infection, but no ill effects being suffered. No kind of vertigo, no lack of appetite. Just a little of an insomnia at the best, at the worst case. That'd be about the best thing that you could figure.
Well, buddy, it kind of sounds like you might have what we that live on the surface plane called a little cold.
Oh.
And you know what old Dr. Shenanigans prescribes to that.
What's that? Do I want to know?
A blankie. And maybe a big old cup of orange juice in the morning.
I don't know why I talk to you.
What? It's true.
Just walked out.
You would basically just be put your head down on the pillow. But sleep is tough. Again, you kind of wrap yourself over with the blanket as you've done every day that you've been out of the water, and you immediately start to feel too warm. Strip the blanket off, and even just your bare skin against it, it's still very warm. Sleep does eventually come, but you wake up the following morning and the same slight shimmer in the air is visible at crack of dawn, and as time progresses it fades away a little bit, but you still feel like something's not quite right.
I have a crazy question real quick. As we're waking up, I'm just going to pop over to Les and be like, Les, so you said you saw these visions, yeah? sorta, like these currents.
Yeah, it's hard to describe. It's not necessarily visions. It's distorted.
Was it moving in any specific direction?
It's not really moving anywhere. It was just more shimmery and
Kind of like you're seeing gasoline in the air.
sort of
Picturing like
Some kind of a vapor in the air,
we've all
maybe.
seen
like a sheen of a bubble or something.
I see, but it wasn't like shifting or moving in a specific direction.
Completely random.
I'm going to think on this, and I will get back to you. But in the meantime, I'm gonna give him a glass of juice.
I begrudgingly drink it.
There we go.
Don't tell the rest of the party this, but
They're right there.
all they know is
We're all like,
I was just going to say, like, I was only in my trance. I wasn't sleeping. Did I hear this whole conversation
your
last night?
passive perception would have heard all of this.
Yeah, I heard everything. Does it sound familiar to anything that I would know from, like, my years hunting the undead?
Make a history check. History or medicine, your choice.
Let's do medicine.
Go for it.
Yeah, 23.
23. Pretty similar to what the doctor described.
Yeah, so
Some kind of a flu, some kind of a not a virus, because there's no real ill effects. It's just a slight difference in bodily state. You're not quite sure what will be causing it,
okay.
He's got a widow sick.
but doesn't seem any worse for wear.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if all this has been happening as long as he thinks it has, it happened when he was fighting Babali Saga. It just wasn't really as prevalent until you took your first watch in the last couple of days.
I'm just gonna keep my eye on him anyway.
Okay.
Not let him know that I know, but I'm just like gonna watch out for my buddy.
Alright. So departing from Grace the following morning, Casimir, ready to go, loads up into the wagon. All the 9 goats dropped off.
Yeah.
Alright, 1, 2,
So
3.
same as usual. You've got a couple of people who were able to flank, or who need to flank the wagon. Not everybody's going to be able to fit inside, so you'd have 3 people who would need to walk. Who would those people be?
I'll walk. Stand
I'll walk.
I walk with them.
3. Alrighty, so the rest of you load up into the back of the wagon. Actually, sorry, technically you'd only need 2. Back of the wagon can fit 4. So, less you'd be in the back of the wagon.
I'm in the
Those
back
2.
of the wagon.
You 2 said that you were going to walk first. So, walking along the side, keeping an eye out, making your way down the path. A couple of hours pass. You eventually see the turnoff for the Wizard of Wines, and you take it easily enough. Eventually coming down the path, large vineyards you can see are sprawling as they normally are. Things look a little bit more lively. You can definitely see things have come back to kind of what they were before. So, making your way down into the winery area, you can see that the cart that was there that was kind of just stationary, nothing being loaded into it. There's heavy boom, 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 boom sounds as a series of barrels are being rolled up onto the top area, and then the crane wheels it over and then eventually drops one of the barrels onto the cart. Looks to be back in full production mode.
That's good. Does Marigold seem excited to be coming home?
A little bit.
Insight check.
as much as a horse can get excited. More so excited at seeing the other horse that was
This
there.
horse
Yeah.
is secretly really
Is
mad.
Muriel anywhere to be seen?
Sorry?
Is Muriel anywhere around?
Oh yeah, Muriel.
Make a perception
Muriel's
check.
wedding.
Alright.
Just right in the back.
That's not good. Well, it's still an 8.
8. Looking around, doesn't seem to be. No. The weather's brightened up a little bit from the last time you were here. No more raincoats. Everybody out and about in fairly standard farming garb.
Cool. Let's approach the house.
Right.
Do we see, I can't remember his name, the leaders of the
Dom?
winery? Dom.
Mia
yeah.
Familia.
Mia Familia.
Well, Dom
Wait,
was.
Dom is not the
Dom isn't the one who was
leader.
from
No.
the winery. He was the
Dom
one
is
who
the-
Leaf
yeah.
had the conversation with
Oh,
in
that's
right.
Blue Water Inn.
Then he drove off. in
Dom
his
was
car.
the representative of the,
So you had
I'm sure
you
I have
had
it written down
Davian.
somewhere. That's right.
Davian is the older one. that
That's
takes
the one.
picture.
Davian, right? With a B?
Adrian is
Yeah.
his oldest son.
Nice.
Stefania is his
Right.
daughter. Dag Temescu is his son-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do see eventually a couple of people recognize you and some murmured words, and eventually Davian kind of steps outside. And, yeah. What? Why are you back here?
Well, we might have found something of yours.
That's something of mine. I haven't lost anything.
Can you think of something that when I went missing?
gonna make him play a guessing game.
I don't have time for these things. Do you have something for me or not?
I'm gonna reach into the bag and produce the gem.
And you see his face is just shock. And all of them just immediately stop what they're doing and drop everything and huddle over around that. And you can see all of them kind of like looking at it like, where did you find this?
We also found 9 goats, but we gave those.
I don't give a shit about a stinking goat.
They were milking goats.
Did you you've heard of someone named Babali Saga?
You also might have had some
scouts.
some lost friends return to you.
Yes, the witch in the bog.
Well, good news. She's not in the bog anymore.
Well, she's in the bog, but permanently.
Yeah.
Is she dead?
She's real dead.
She's dead.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you. And he reaches for the gem.
You know what? I'll ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see, like, he legitimately starts crying a little.
We
He's
also
so happy.
found a couple of these empty bottles, and I'm going to give him the 2 empty bottles of the Chateau de l'Estampe.
Where did you find these?
We're collectors.
Connoisseurs.
These were in the basement of the Burgomaster's mansion, ruined now in Perez.
Those were the casks. There were no bottles there.
Oh,
it was
fuck,
the
that's
giant
right.
ones.
Yeah.
The only bottles that you've seen were the ones that
It was
were
the broken
in,
one in the basement that the
Right.
Yeah.
Never mind. I thought I'd had the
or
yeah.
in the abbots. I
in
got that.
the abbey. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah. So he just takes the gem and just might actually be able to get it back. Adrian, we need to replant this as soon as we can. Do you need anything else from me?
Well, we're not going to make this a quid pro quo, but
Not right
we
now.
hope that when it comes time to call on the people of this land for aid against the devil,
You'll have it.
thank you.
As best we can.
Of course.
I mean, we are scouts at the
Okay.
beginning and end of
We
it.
Well, you know,
understand.
just-
Perhaps information here, information there. We
Yeah,
can
help
hold
keep
it.
an eye on us. Let us know if stuff's around.
Well, about that gem in particular, we've noticed that it requires sacrifice to do certain things.
Probably not to make wine,
He looks
though.
pretty
Yeah.
bewildered about that.
Yeah.
To
less.
do things, arcane things. If
Yeah,
the
it's
witch
only,
had
it's
it
only to
use.
say make a hut float that I needed.
Just making sure, you know, if they were making wine from it, that people aren't dying.
No.
I don't think so.
They
That
know what
seems
they're doing.
that's what this gem
You know,
wants to do.
Need a great little bottle of wine. Stab Greg.
Greg looks over. What?
Fuck, man.
sorry, Greg. We need this bottle of wine.
God bless. I thought we were friends.
You do see them kind of bring the gem around Adrian and Davian to one of the grape fields that is completely devoid of any life. It looks just like barren.
I'm kind of curious to see what
soil.
happens. Actually, I just follow them and watch what they do.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And
tell you.
they're pretty open about it at this point. I mean, you've returned the first gem to them, and now the second one that's been lost for centuries. They take it out and eventually go to a slight triangulation, figure out where the dead center of the field is, and dig up a fairly sizable patch of earth, probably a good 8 feet, 10 feet down.
Damn, they
and
did fast.
eventually, essentially, put that in as a seed. And you do notice that the further down, kind of looking over the hole, as the gem touches the soil again, it begins to slowly glow with a slight green.
Oh yeah.
And then a little bit of dirt covers it over, and it gets a little bit brighter, and a little brighter, and a little brighter, until it finally is fully enclosed. And then the dirt is pulled over. Watering begins, and they're essentially trying to get the land back to the point where it's fertile again. Probably still going to be some time. It's not like instant vines, but it's at least most likely going to help. So.
I think before we leave, I'd like to ask him if he knows, or his people know from back in the day, anything about where Queen Ravenovia would have been buried.
Queen Ravenovia. Oh yes, Strahd's mother.
Mm-hmm.
God, the stories are so long. Well, she died, didn't she?
She died. She did.
She would have been buried in the castle, I assume.
Oh yeah, that tracks.
I mean, that would be the only thing that would make sense.
Do you think she was buried with her husband?
I mean, they were together in life. It would make sense for them to be together in death. I don't know. I mean, it predates me by a very long time, but
it's a
Understood.
fairly safe guess. I mean, there's a
That's
castle. They were a king, a queen, probably buried in their own castle.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Anything else we need from this guy? We did just
Oh.
restore his vineyard.
I was gonna ask, did you by any chance know has Muriel been back?
No, Muriel hasn't come back in. Last she was here about a week ago.
Okay.
Said that she was heading down to Perez to keep an eye on the witch, but
We met her there.
Oh, you did.
We did.
Well,
She
I assume actually now because obviously you knew what her name was.
Yeah.
You
She
met
gave
her
us-
last time that she was here.
I was wondering, could I leave just like a message for her or something?
Of course. You're the blue one, so
Yeah.
your name.
Call me.
Yeah. And I'll just scribble
What's your
down a little note and pass it to him. I just said that.
Okay. And he just kind of like looks over and just opens up the note.
You're also blue.
Yeah, but real pale.
They're really light blue.
You're also blue? Or more
No,
silver?
I'm like gray, purpley.
What
I'm like an
color
aqua
is the
teal.
doctor?
I'm like albino.
Okay.
The albino. Actually.
I'm like
Yeah,
silver.
I'm side-eyeing Leaf
Okay.
during this whole
You just
exchange.
And you could have
Just-
just told me that, but okay.
And he folds the note back up again and shoves it into his pocket of his jacket.
You said it to him? Oh, sick.
I was writing it.
Yeah,
So-
and being sneaky
Anything
actually
else, or
in
can
real
I
life.
get back to my work?
Appreciate
You're welcome.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
From the deepest recesses of my heart, now get off my fucking land.
Yes, dude.
All right, I like this guy. Let's get out of here.
Make sure
guys.
Muriel gets that.
Yes.
Hey, Davian.
Blue one.
Salute, mi familia.
Okay.
Goodbye.
And he just turns tail and heads back inside. You can see he starts shouting orders again at his kids to get them moving the wine barrels, and they need to get back on schedule. So
I don't even know who my dad fucking is, and I prefer him to that guy.
alright.
It was meant to be funny, but then it was just.
No, it's
Real dark.
It's a bit personal there. Maybe we should
It's like
just
part of my backstory.
hold
I'm
back.
gonna get back to goat bits.
Alrighty.
On to the
Drow
temple.
Society is matriarchal, okay, you guys? He's
On
probably
to
just a
the
slave or
temple.
something.
On to the temple.
Oh my
So
What?
Temple,
Making-
temple.
making
Ah,
your way
Yeah.
back onto the main road, eventually following the road to the
PTSD.
path to the Solenka Pass. It takes a fair bit of time, as you are used to, but it's early enough in the day. You know the path at this point. Being able to get there, you think, fairly easily. It would eventually lead you to the same area that you came upon once before. The large gate open, the massive wall of green flame, and the gargoyles atop the wall.
Cast Dispel Magic.
Okay. The spell magic takes hold, and easily enough the flames part. And you have a small window, about a minute or so, to be able to make it through.
Yeah.
But pass by unscathed. On the other side, continue traveling for about 30 seconds or so before the wall just recloses on itself. Making your way along the pass, you have the same buttress on the right-hand side, the place where you spent the evening before the wolf's head over the mantle.
Right.
Back over to the bridge, where you saw the Black Rider, who is no longer there.
Good.
Just a clear path to the other side.
Well, we know he's not. He was in
He was murdered by us.
Argynvostold. No, I think. Oh, do you mean the Black Rider is the guy who sent us to Argynvostold? I think you're thinking of like the
No,
ghoul.
the Black Rider was
Oh.
the
The one that
one
we
that
fought.
looked like Strahd that became the
Oh,
two.
right. Okay, yeah. The
figures.
ghouls.
Yeah. But making your way across the bridge, the snow and the cold and the sleet begin to hit again, and it suddenly just chills you to your bones.
We got cinnamon though. Heart of cinnamon.
You're still chilled,
That are
but it's not painful cold.
I have that goat skin though.
Can
so
I
I'm
check in
cozy.
with Les and see how he's dealing with this cold?
Sure. His skin feels cold to the touch. You feel fine. Even stepping a little bit of a ways away from Hope, knowing the the radiant warmth that
Less
comes from their
extra
pack.
Lest become
You
Dr.
kind of
Manhattan.
fully allow yourself to be engulfed in the storm, and you hold your hand up, and the snow and the sleet impact against you, and you don't feel cold.
Hold on real quick. Are you immune to cold damage?
I don't know.
Is it the ring?
I don't know.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, never mind. Anyway, sorry.
You kind of stay out in the cold for a little bit to kind of test it, and you kind of touch the tips of your fingers, and your fingers do start to hurt. Like you're definitely being affected by the extreme cold. You just don't feel the cold.
Yeah.
It's a very odd sensation.
You're saying the cold is
You rejoin the party, you warm up again, and all of a sudden now you're almost at the point of fish don't sweat, but close. Your skin definitely feels warm to you, to the touch.
That's
Even though
the
everybody
saying
knows
on our new T-shirt. Fish don't sweat.
Fish don't sweat.
Fish don't sweat.
The better part of the day passes. No incidents. Same areas where you had the encounter with Bloodhorn riding down the mountain and impacting off the side.
You did.
You kind of instinctively at least pull out the cloak,
Yeah.
pull it over yourself.
Who's laughing now, goat?
You do hear as you're going up along the paths in some areas where you get a little bit higher above the storm.
I was gonna say, whenever we get close to where the rocks territory is, about an hour away from the temple, I'm gonna cast Pass Without Trace.
Okay, I'll go and get everybody make stealth checks. So moving stealthily means you're moving at half speed. So you're going to be moving pretty slowly, or you can move at regular speed, in which case you make your stealth checks a disadvantage. It's up to you.
And am I still at disadvantage?
Yes, it's your armor that does it.
Oh my god.
So before anybody rolls,
Yeah.
because it matters. Are you moving at normal speed, like failing stealthily, so rolling a disadvantage, or are you actually trying to move stealthily and therefore moving at half your movement speed?
I think knowing that there's the Iraq.
Yeah, I think we'd probably value stealth over
stealth over speed.
Yeah.
So that means, but still, I would try to calculate it so that I knew, like, even moving slowly, that we'd be an hour's travel away from the temple before I cast the Pass Without Trace.
Yeah, it's a little tough to gauge because the snow and the sleet, like you aren't able to see anything. The best you can do is kind of use your recollection. Go, just make a survival check for me.
Yeah.
So be your best guess. Of
Ranger
where
skills.
Where you think you were the last time you encountered it.
Okay.
Yeah, we should.
17.
17?
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot about that.
You think you're pretty right.
Mm-hmm.
About an hour away from the temple, give or take, and you go ahead and get everybody huddled up. Cast Pass Without Trace.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody go and make stealth checks at regular roll. You two at disadvantage.
Yeah.
So we're rolling again?
let's-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was before you all rolled, before you decided what you wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
Nothing effective.
Fuck off.
So
It's plus 10.
with a plus 10.
For a second, I was like, have we just rolled the exact same thing?
37.
37.
It's a nat 1 and it's 11.
You don't have any bonuses to stealth?
Well, 12.
Okay. 12.
23.
23.
21.
21.
17.
17.
25.
25. Okay. Overall, not too bad. Who is helming?
Wait, sorry, 35.
35. Who is helming the party? Who's leading?
I'd probably lead.
Yeah,
I
And
think.
you're on the caravan, right? So is somebody in front of the caravan, or is Cinnamon leading, and you're all kind of flanking? What's the order here?
Yeah, do you need me to roll for cinnamon?
Nope.
I'm in the caravan.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
guessing
feeling
probably...
fairly good in the cold. I'd probably keep staying out there
Staying out there. Okay.
if no one else
Yeah.
cares.
So there would need to be 2 people walking. Casimir's in there, so there can be 3 of them.
I'd probably be trying to, like, if not lead, then at least sort of be beside the horses and be kind of like
Yeah.
checking, like making the trail and figuring out which way we're going, and
Probably
also
be, like,
keeping an eye out for the rock.
I'll probably just be damning up, the, like sort of sitting, looking out the back.
Okay. So Les, you'd be behind the caravan.
Yeah.
Leaf and Casimir are
Um,
talking about girls.
Aw.
Some time passes. Good half hour, 40 minutes.
Talking about people.
Uninterrupted. You're climbing up the side of the mountain. Eventually, you kind of break the top of one of the clouds, right where the storm is really formed. You kind of open yourself up to just a little bit of light. You are very high up at this point. The air is thin. It's a little bit tough to breathe for most of you, less you especially, needing kind of a more oxygen-rich environment. You kind of are coughing, sputtering a little bit, trying to fill your air fill your lungs with oxygen. But nothing seems to transpire. You eventually make your way a little bit further down and find the same outcropping that you spent the night just above the Amber Temple. Before? Okay. This was where the interaction with the rider leading the temple happened.
Oh, yeah.
And the major interaction with the rock flying overhead. It is closing in on evening. It's definitely not night, but it is, with the day's travel, closing in on evening. Is this something where you would want to camp in the same place again, or do you want to go outside the temple, camp there? Because you know with the escarpment that hangs over it, you'd be a little bit more out of the elements. It's kind of up to you.
Does it look like to me that we'd be more hidden from the rock in the escarpment of the temple?
It's about 50-50. The escarpment of the temple is a much wider area. The rock can theoretically land there and have its full wingspan and be able to move around a little. Where you are now, it's very much the path, and then this little section that's just detached from the path that you could set up maybe 2 tents and get everybody.
Or do we want to go into the temple, you guys? What do you think?
Maybe we should camp outside the escarpment.
Was the escarpment? Sorry, the escarpment in front of the.
In front of the temple.
In front of the temple. Think of like a massive rock
yeah.
overhang. And it's essentially you'd be camping underneath that, so you're not affected by the snow as much.
But we wouldn't be affected by it anyhow.
Well, you're still covered in snow.
Yeah.
You're not affected by cold. You're still affected by snow.
Yeah, I think it's uncomfortable. I don't know. I think we could just go into the beginning or like the opening of the Amber Temple and just.
There are
camp
those 2
there.
rooms.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know
We
if
could
anything's moved
barricade
back.
it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready for this?
I guess perhaps we should take a moment to discuss strategy before we
Even
go charging in.
Yeah, so...
The last thing we saw were those flaming fucking skulls behind those sets of doors.
So let's just decide where we're going to sleep first, and then let's have a little chat about it before bed.
I think let's have our little cookout at the escarpment, just so we're safe from all the snow.
Mm-hmm.
Save us a little bit of extra time to get into the temple. Yeah, that's my thinking.
All right.
And we're not leaving without that fucking sword.
What sword?
That's what we're here for.
Oh, right.
That's why I'm pointing.
So raison d'etre.
So yeah, the escarpment.
Yeah.
So you're going just outside the doors to the
Scarp it
temple?
up.
Yeah. No. The not the doors of the temple, but the rock outcropping, right? Or are we
Yeah,
going-
which is near the doors of the temple.
Wait,
Well, no, so
no,
there's
there's two
there's
options for
the
camp.
area off the path, kind of at the top of the hill that looks down onto the temple.
Yeah.
And then the other option is to go down into the open area in front of the temple, which has the rock overhang that you're a little bit shielded from the snow.
I think we do that.
I think the rock can see us there.
I think so too.
I think we go where we're best hidden,
All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and we were able to hide in this part last time
That's
while I
true,
saw it
yeah.
go overhead.
I suppose that's fair.
Got some weird shit coming out of there. I don't want to be.
Yeah.
That's true.
So setting up 2 tents there.
We don't want to be between a rock and a hard place.
Hey.
Really,
And the die gets thrown. Alright, so same area that you camped, the previous time that you came down to the temple. You're able to pull the wagon off to the side, set up 2 tents in addition to that. Get everybody a little snuggled in, but you're at least able to find some kind of rest.
I would try to make sure the wagon is disguised as much as possible too, so that it wouldn't be visible from overhead. So
Easy enough to do with
Yeah.
the sheer amount of snow.
Snow.
You can easily pack it on there and get it definitely well hidden.
What did
Go
we
and
do
just
with
make a
Carol's
stealth
head?
check for me.
Still on the wagon.
Nice.
with the pass without trace bonus or no?
No, this
Okay.
is
full skull.
yeah. This is to stealth the wagon.
13.
13? Okay, not too bad. So you put a fair bit of snow on there. It's blowing pretty heavy wind at this point, so like small patches of the snow end up gusting off, but overall it's fairly hidden. The wagon itself is not too dissimilar from the color of the path either, so it kind of blends in quite well.
We'd bring the horses into the outcropping with us too, I think, to try to like get them.
It's sheer. There's nowhere
okay.
for them. They just kind of have to huddle up against whatever rock is there, and then take a blanket maybe and put it over
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
At least there's 2 of them.
Fuck, Marigold's ghost.
No, I put a blanket over them.
So turning in for the evening, are we doing watches?
Watches.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's doing first watch?
I'll take first watch.
First,
I'll do second.
second,
Third.
third,
And then fourth.
fourth. Alrighty. First watch. Go make a perception check for me.
Ooh. 21.
21. Passes by without issue.
Cool.
Kind of half expecting another ghostly spectral rider to pass by, but nothing does.
Cool.
Eventually turn in for the evening. Oh,
Yeah.
Was it that saw the ghost last time?
10.
10. Same thing. Looking out.
It was me.
Oh, was it you?
That saw the ghost last time.
Oh, it was me.
Was it?
No, the doctor saw the ghost. You saw the
Oh.
rock.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, because I specifically remember because you were like holding Eldritch Blast, and
Oh,
then
right.
it just passed by.
Ooh.
Yeah, hope nothing transpires. Again, kind of half expecting some kind of piercing scream, but the night passes without incident. Sleep eventually takes you. Leaf.
Self?
Perception.
Perception. For the record, I'm like holding onto my bow, being like, can't be surprised, can't be surprised. Surprise! Damn it. 12.
12. Looking out. I'm looking up at the sky. It's a little bit of a cloudy night. I don't think that... And like really close. You completely lose it because you're looking out over the valley and you realize you turn back the lens and you see the rock is just kind of gliding probably 30, 40 feet over your heads. Doesn't appear to see you. Flies out over the valley and eventually vanishes off into the distance. But it snuck on you quite effectively. And it was really only the piercing...
I thought I couldn't be surprised!
You couldn't be surprised of an enemy attack of the creature itself at the speed that it moves.
Yeah.
Because the bow is also only within a certain range. Rocks. You do see as well, one of the things that you weren't able to really note a time before was just how fast this thing moves.
Right.
And you saw it moving, it had to be going 150 feet, 300 feet. It was moving.
Get on its way.
Does it look like the same one that I saw last time?
Last time, it's a little bit tough to tell with that perception roll, especially. You instinctively duck back underneath and kind of like look out just to see the wings. Similar sized wingspan, potentially the same one, but I'm not quite sure.
Gives you the eyebrow.
Yeah. You kind of wait up, expecting for it to return over your watch. It doesn't.
Wrestling reference.
Waking Leaf up the following watch. Leaf, go and make a perception check for me.
Oh, and I'm gonna use the D6 of inspo.
Yeah,
Considering we've got it for
yeah,
this
you may as well.
Okay, yeah, so that's... is 20. Oh, and I've got the thing now, so 20.
20?
Ooh, yeah. Got that proficiency boost.
Off in the distance, you do see a very, very slight figure flying through the air, getting progressively larger and larger. And you having not seen the rock previously, as it gets closer and closer, it fits the descriptions of what you were told. And you again start to hear that off in the distance as it gets a little bit closer and a little closer, and then takes off towards the sky and vanishes into the clouds. And you hear some of the cawing above over your head, and then as it eventually finds its roost kind of in the top of small, well, at least what looks to be a small, but you know is a massive round entrance chamber at the top of the mountain where you're currently on the side of.
Noted. Jordy, can I do one other thing?
Yeah, of course.
Can I cast a spell on one of the party members without them knowing?
You may certainly try. What spell would you like to cast?
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
Because it's a secret?
Yeah, you can message me. Yeah, message me the details.
Yeah.
Because I need to know what spell it is.
I don't think they're gonna want me to.
Okay.
So, it's just gotta...
Who is it? We all know, but...
Leaf casts.
I'm pretty sure I actually know exactly what it is, but...
Greater Restoration,
Everybody instinctively checks their phones because I didn't get the message.
Oh, you didn't?
What?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. That was close.
I was like, are you just doing a poker face, Jordy, and deliberately trying to fuck with us?
Poker face.
Yeah, I was close.
Yeah.
Face.
Okay. Go ahead and make a sleight of hand check for me.
It's like a 10.
10? Okay. Okay. Yep. You cast the spell. Kind of reach out. The individual stirs, isn't fully awakened, but kind of notices you, and so you can have that interaction separately.
Alright, cool.
They don't know what happened,
Yep.
but they know that you touched them, and
okay.
seem to wake them up in some way.
Hope is like,
Who's been touched?
And that happens now, right?
I will say it would make sense given the timing that you would start waking everybody up.
Yeah.
So it's something that would be completely natural, and they would not.
It's nice to wake everyone up. Got a big day today.
We sure fucking do.
Already.
Is that interaction not going to happen? Like that person doesn't know?
It just happened.
It just happened.
I just minded it.
Yeah. Everybody is awoken by Leaf. But one individual is awoken with
Sorry I did that, but they
it's
were going
fine.
to take it. So.
It happens.
I just wanted to solve something for the future.
Alright, so go ahead and mark that down. Make sure you have it marked.
It off.
So
Man, what is that?
you all awaken the following
Sorry,
morning.
gang.
Are you gonna tell us at some point?
Never.
It'll probably come up. I guarantee it's going to come up.
Most likely. You awaken the following morning, coming to consciousness. You all take a couple of bites of rations. The last of the meat that you had hunted from the 2 evenings before, all expended at this point. And you begin to make your way down the side of the path towards the Ember Temple. And that's going to be where we end tonight's session.
Oh my god.
We'll pick up next week, day 1, back in the Ember Temple.
Fuck shit.
You are all going to be at level 9, so we can go ahead and do our level up. Yeah, and okay, it's going to be interesting. This is you're better suited now for the temple instead of level 6, was it?
It was level 7.
Oh, 7?
no, it was level 6.
Was it
We
level
got
6?
level 7.
You got level 7 when you left.
Oh.
When we,
Oh yeah, it was like the saddest level up. We're like, oh god.
Yeah,
We didn't die.
We leveled up for running away.
Yeah.
So you are now level 9, so hit points are up, hit dice are up. Level 9 as well is a big one for wild characters. You get new spells, you get 5th level spells. Yep.
I get a 3rd level spell.
I
Yay.
get 2 third level spells, of which there were
another
some that.
invocation.
You
That'll
get
be
another
fun for me.
invocation, that's a big one. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff. So,
We can roll hit dice.
yeah, go ahead and roll hit dice if you would like to do so.
It's one.
Of course, if you want to multi-class, don't roll hit dice because your die will coordinate
shit,
to
we can
your
multi-class.
I'm not multi-class.
I may do research into that again.
Yeah. If you don't want to roll it, it's fine. Remember, you do re-roll once.
What is
4.
it? It's a D8, right?
It says on your character sheet. Hit dice.
It's whenever I
Yeah,
hit
because
dice,
it's some people. I think
And-
Les and I have D10.
I do as well.
Yeah. You 3 have D10s, the rest of them have D8s.
And we add our constitution.
Add your constitution modifier.
I never changed my old.
I got a
Never changed my old proficiency bonus. I'm still at
I can
2.
deal with that.
So, definitely an interesting session. Some very interesting information learned. We're definitely more into the lore side of things.
Yeah.
I like it. I like lore.
Yeah,
So who the fuck got touched? Was it Les?
You don't know.
Someone touched me.
But yeah, that
I
was
wanted to have a secret.
that was a fun one. I'm glad that Berez ended up going the way that it did. Getting all that information out of her hut. Definitely finding that little book.
Next week is gonna be good.
Next week is gonna be long.
Yeah.
I'm very curious.
I'm not going to be here next week.
What?
Whoa.
No.
Oh.
Okay. Well,
Why?
No.
Should we take a week off?
Yeah, I kind of wonder. I feel like this is one that we should have everyone here for if we can.
I genuinely wouldn't mind. I'm teaching classes at 9 in the morning tomorrow. So.
Tomorrow?
Well, I mean for
On-
next week as
The
well.
following day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
we
we
wanna
wanted to take
take
a week
a-
off, we could.
Yeah.
I mean, it's entirely up
couldn't
to you.
remember if I'd said or anything. I have a ticket to see Sasha Velour next Tuesday.
Ooh. Seems like a worthwhile.
Did you hear Ray gets to do VIP meet and greet?
No.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Gifted
Ray.
to them.
What?
Oh, of course. They're so freaking great.
I'm just reacting to the
Yeah.
stream.
It was a great
No,
reaction.
No, it's
No,
a well
that's accurate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Go
so
ahead.
Because
glad.
when they say Ray, they mean Rosebud. So if that means anything.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alrighty. So, congrats everybody. Level 9. It's a big one.
Mine just has a little dash for nothing.
It's the
Which makes
opposite.
me
Oh,
sad.
I've
Yes.
had so
Yeah.
many with no, like dashes, so
What do you mean dash?
Like I get nothing on level
some
9.
classes you don't actually get level up stuff.
I get two
You do-
third level
I
spells.
think you get something for Gloomstalker though.
I got spells.
I guess
I'll
Gloomstalker,
check.
but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh shit, yeah.
Because
I don't think
dashes
so.
are
I
I think you
usually
get
like.
something at 9th level.
Are we still streaming?
We are. I'm gonna shut it down. But,
Every time.
yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. It was a little bit of a slower session.
Do we break 200?
We were at 199, right?
Yeah.
We did.
Yay!
Yeah, 1 hour ago, Robin Goodfellow won.
Yeah!
You are a good fellow.
Seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kayla, it's not. It's
No, I don't
the
get
one
you.
thing.
Thanks for tuning
Bye.
I do get a Gloomstalker spell, and I get
Bye, everybody. We'll see you next
two.
week. Potentially, if not, then the following week.
I get 2 third level spells, and I get.